good. We had a good time at the alfalfa dinner. We did well. I hope we did well, but it was very good. Tremendous people. So what's up?
Sarge, could you give us an update on where your thinking is right now with Iran? If you have made a final decision on what you want to do?
I mean, I certainly can't tell you that, but we do have very big, powerful ships heading in that direction, as you know. I can't tell you,
Okay.
but I hope they negotiate something that's acceptable.
Saudi Arabia's defense minister reportedly said that if the U.S. backs off the strike, that will only embolden Iran. What's your reaction to that, sir?
Some people think that, some people don't. You can make a negotiated deal that would be satisfactory with no nuclear weapons. They should do that, but I don't know that they will. But they are talking to us, seriously talking to us. What about it? I did. Well, I met with Jeb Bush. I was on Jeb. I think you mean Jeb. No, I introduced him. Nice. He's a good fellow. And he's been very nice to me the last 6 months. I don't know what happened, but he was very nice. We had a good time.
Mr. President, on your Fed nominee, Kevin Marshall, why are you willing to wait for Senator Tom Tillis to leave the Senate, essentially, until, if you have to, if Senator Tillis?
For Tillis? I didn't say I wouldn't wait, but I mean, he's leaving the Senate for a reason, because what he asked for didn't get done. So it's one of those things. I think he may get Democrat votes too. I think he's so good that he'll probably get Democrat votes. He should. He's very good. My choice, my Fed choice, he should get Democrat votes.
Do you have a sense of what he's going to do as far as interest rates are concerned?
I hope he's going to lower them. I mean, if you watch him on television, because I watch interviews and statements, I hope he's going to lower them. But he's going to have to do what he wants to do.
Did he tell you? Did he make any commitments?
No commitments. I don't want to do that. I couldn't do that, I guess, if I wanted to. I didn't. I based it on quality. I mean, he's a very high quality person. He should have no trouble getting through.
Mr. President, did you make a comment at the dinner about saying that you would sue?
About what?
About suing war, shaking us down lower?
Yes, it's a roast. It's a roast. It's a comedy.
So it's a joke.
And I said, of course, it was all comedy.
And then in the more serious note, you're suing the IRS. Talk a little bit about what it's like to be on both sides of a lawsuit.
It's very interesting. I have another one where I've virtually won the Mar-a-Lago break-in suit, and I have to work out some kind of a settlement. I'm supposed to work out a settlement with myself because when the FBI broke in, we sued. Before I was president, I sued. And obviously, it was a very good suit, and I have that one, and I have to work out a settlement.
Any instructions on how to handle that at all?
Well, I think what we'll do is do something for charity. We're thinking about doing something for charity where I'll give money to charity. We can make it a substantial amount. Nobody would care because it's going to go to numerous, very good charities.
You guys have the truth today about Minneapolis and how you might not see federal authorities intervene. You asked
On what?
Secretary Note not to send in DHS in Democratic states.
Yeah, no, I let them ask us if they want help. They're always complaining. If you go in, they complain. They complain no matter what. We brought crime to the lowest point in the history of our country. 125 years, 1900. Think of it. Year. Think of that. 1900. Can you imagine? We have the lowest crime in the history of our country, despite the fact that our country was riddled with a lot of bad people from the Biden open border. But we've taken a lot of them out. We're at the lowest point in history. We have the least number of murders in the recorded history of our country. That's incredible. But honestly, the crime-ridden cities are all Democrat-run cities. And if they want help, they have to ask for it. Because if we go in, all they do is complain. But if they want help, they can ask for it. And they're going to need help. Los Angeles is an example. We went in, we solved it. The chief law enforcement officer in Los Angeles said they couldn't have done it without the federal government. A week later, he said they didn't need the federal government. So we don't want that. If they want help, they'll ask, but they have to say please.
On DHS funding, sir, the Democrats have made 3 demands. They say they want no roving patrols, they want established rules for use of force, and they want masks off.
Well, we'll talk about it. It's not appropriate yet. We have to let a little time go by, but we'll talk about it. But we want. I got elected for law enforcement, for the border, for the economy, things I've done a great job with. I mean, when you have the lowest crime rate in the history of our country, recorded in 125 years, to be exact. So I fulfilled so much. We'll have to talk about that over the next 3 or 4 days.
Sir, Mr. President, what did you think of the latest release of Epstein files, and do you think your critics will be satisfied with?
Well, they should be, because it looked like this guy Wolf was a writer, was conspiring with Epstein to do harm to me. And I didn't see it myself, but I was told by some very important people that not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping, the radical left. That Wolf was a third-rate writer, was conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to hurt me, politically or otherwise. And that came through loud and clear. So we'll probably sue Wolf on that. And maybe the Epstein estate, I guess. I don't know. But we're going to certainly sue
You
Wolf.
want to sue the Epstein estate?
Well, you may. I guess so, because he was conspiring with Wolf to do harm to me politically. That's not a friend.
On your plan for Venezuela oil, sir.
You okay down there? You okay? I don't want to right on top of him.
You said that the profits will be split with the U.S. and Venezuela both benefiting. What's Venezuela's share of the oil profits going to be?
Well, we haven't discussed that, but we're getting along very well with the leadership of Venezuela. They're doing a really good job. We're going to be selling a lot of oil, and we'll take some, and they'll take a lot. And they're going to do very well. They're going to make more money than they've ever made. And it's going to be beneficial to us. We're going to really, I think Venezuela is really going to turn around. I opened up the airspace over Venezuela so that now people from Venezuela came from Venezuela here. They're going to be able to go back for the first time, go back to Venezuela and stay perhaps, or go back and see their relatives, go for a short period of time.
Sir, do you think China's going to get their money back from all the money they lent to Venezuela for
I don't
oil?
know. I don't know anything about that, but I'll tell you what, China is welcome to come in and would make a great deal in oil. We welcome China. We've already made a deal. India's coming in, and they're going to be buying Venezuelan oil as opposed to buying it from Iran. So we've already made that deal, the concept of the deal. But China's welcome to come in and buy oil.
On Venezuela, do you think that Machado should be able to return to Venezuela?
I'd love to be able to do something with it, and maybe putting the sides together, doing something. I think she's a very fine person.
Do you think she'll be
But I think I have to say at the same time, the current leadership is doing a very good job.
Did you have any knowledge of the arrest of Don Lemon before it happened? Did you have any conversation?
No, I don't know anything about the Don Lemon thing, but he's a sleazebag. Everyone's known that. He's a washout. Probably, from his standpoint, the best thing that could happen to him. He's getting, he had no viewers. He was a failure. He was a failed host, and now he's in the news. I didn't know anything about it.
So what's your response to Claudia Sheinbaum's warning that the embargo or the restriction on Cuban oil to Cuba could cause a humanitarian crisis there?
Well, it doesn't have to be humanitarian crisis. I think they probably would come to us and want to make a deal. So Cuba would be free again. They'll come to us, they'll make a deal. But Cuba really is not a problem. They have a problem. I know so many people from Cuba. But we have a lot of people in the United States right now that would love to go back to Cuba. And we'd like to work that out.
What do you want to see from Cuba? I mean, what do you need to see to make that
We'll
kind
work
of
a
deal?
deal. I think we're going to work a deal with Cuba. I think, we'll be kind. We have a situation that's very bad for Cuba. They have no money, they have no oil. Venezuela, they live off Venezuelan money and oil. And none of that's coming now. And then the president of Mexico, President Sheinbaum, was very good. I said, look, we don't want you sending oil there. And she's not sending oil.
On your plans for Washington, D.C., sir, the Washington Post reported that you're considering an arch that's 250 feet high. Can you talk a little bit about that and address critics who say that might be a little bit too large for the space?
We're considering an arc. It's like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. So for 200 years, they wanted to build an arc. There are 57 cities throughout the world that have them. We're the only major city, Washington, D.C., that doesn't. The circle prior to the bridge, the Arlington Bridge, has been waiting for hundreds of years to have this done. In fact, they have 4 eagles that got built, but it was interrupted by a thing called the Civil War, and so it never got built. Then they almost built something in 1902, but it never happened. So we have an unbelievable ark that I think will be the most beautiful in the world being built there. They're going to be built there.
This is 250 feet.
I don't know what the height is. It's just appropriate for the site. We're setting up a committee, and the committee's going to be going over it, but it'll be substantial. I'd like it to be the biggest one of all. We're the biggest, most powerful nation. I'd like it to be the biggest one.
And to involve in a charity.
It's a very exciting job, actually. They've been waiting for many years, just like the ballroom. For 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom. Now we're going to put up the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And I could have built a much bigger one. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be in keeping with. I didn't want it to be taller than the White House, etc. So I wanted it to be in keeping. But it's a really beautiful building, done by some of the best architects in the world. The ballroom, likewise, the Ark. I think it's going to be great. We're just setting up a committee now for the Ark.
Could the money from the lawsuit that you may settle with yourself go towards paying for that arch or for the ballroom?
Well, we hadn't thought of it, but we're going to probably, it's sort of a strange position because I have a lawsuit like the break-in of Mar-a-Lago, and I pay myself that somehow will never look good. So what I had, and other people, a lot of outside people said, what a great idea. Because nobody cares how much if it goes to good charities. So you settle by giving charities a lot of money. And I think we're going to do something like that. We're looking to do something like
The
that.
charity be to pay for the ballroom and for the arch?
No, I don't think either of those. I'm talking about American Cancer Society. A lot of I think they should be probably established charities.
On a answer, you had
I would say established and respected charities.
on a answer, you had threatened those secondary tariffs on countries doing business with Iran. We haven't seen those yet. What are you holding off on?
Well, we're going to see. Look, we have a lot of things happening right now with Iran. We have a tremendous fleet going in that direction, and they're talking to us. So a lot of things could happen.
And the Canada tariffs, sir, that you talked about, are those coming?
Well, that was on the airplanes. You're talking about
We
the
know about
airplanes.
the China deal that they did.
If they do a deal with China, yeah, we'll do something very substantial. Because we're going to have a great relationship with China, President Xi, but we don't want China to take over Canada. And if they make the deal that he's looking to make, China will take over Canada. And the first thing they're going to do, end ice hockey.
So speaking of China, sir, there was a military purge in that country a week ago. What do you make of that?
Well, as far as you're talking about China?
Yeah,
As far as I'm concerned, there's one boss in China, that's President Xi. That's the person I'm dealing with.
are there any concerns about stability or
No,
with regard
I
to
think
laws?
I think President Xi is the boss. I watch it very closely, and he's highly respected in China. He's the boss.
I'm going to go back to Cuba for 1 second. Who exactly are you negotiating with on the island? Who's the government representative there you're speaking with?
Where?
In Cuba. Who are you speaking with?
We're starting to talk to Cuba. Yeah, we're starting to.
Can you tell us who it
Look,
is?
they need help on a humanitarian basis, and we're starting to talk to Cuba. Don't forget, a lot of people that live in our country are treated very badly by Cuba, and we want them to be. They all voted for me, and we want them to be treated well. We'd like to be able to have them go back to home to their country, which they haven't seen their family, their country for many, many decades. So we'll work that. I'll be able to work that out. Yes.
Do you have any update on what's happening with Greenland negotiations and have you been in contact with Presidents Macron, Starmer, some of those European
Are
leaders?
you talking about on Greenland?
Yes.
On Greenland? Yeah. We have started a negotiation, and I think it's pretty well agreed to. I mean, they want us to do it. I think it's going to be a good deal for everybody. A very important deal. Actually, from a national security point of view, very, very important deal. I think we're going to make a deal.
Mr. President, back to your post on ICE protests, what did you mean when you said people will suffer an equal or greater consequence?
If they do anything bad to our people, they will have to suffer. I'm sorry. If they start spitting in people's faces, punching our people, punching our soldiers, our patriots, they will get taken care of in at least an equal way. They're not going to do that. Like, you see it, the way they treat our people. And I said, you're allowed, if somebody does that, you can do something back. You're not going to stand there and take it. If somebody spits in your face, that will not be a pleasant thing for the person that spits. We're not letting people spit in our soldiers' face as they stand at attention, and they're not allowed to do anything. If they throw bricks at a car, at one of our vehicles, and are very expensive vehicles, they're going to be met with very, very serious force.
Sir, do you think it's good having lots of cameras on these kinds of incidents between law enforcement and the people?
I think it would help law enforcement, but I'd have to talk to them. I'm going to be talking to them tomorrow. Actually, I think it would help law enforcement. That works both ways. But I think overall, I think it's 80% in favor of law enforcement.
Who are you talking to tomorrow on law enforcement?
A lot of people. Well, I'm speaking to Christian, I'm speaking to Tom Logan, a lot of people. We have it in good shape. And, Minnesota crime is way down because of what we've done. We've taken out thousands of criminals. What we want in Minnesota, we want them to open their jails and give us their criminals, and we're gone. That's all we want. And they're going to have to do it.
How are you feeling about Secretary Noakes handling the matters in the last
Well,
week?
she's did great. I mean, we have a close border. We've taken out thousands and thousands of killers and murderers and everything else, removed them from our country by the tens of thousands. And we have the crime rate that's the lowest in history. I didn't do the crime rate stats. It just came out yesterday that we have the lowest crime rate in the history of our country. So how's she doing? I think she's doing well. And she's a good person. She works hard. Tom Homan is a star. He's incredible. I mean, the guy's incredible. He's got an unbelievable, he's tough, and yet everybody likes him, both sides. So he's been great. But he said to me just tonight, he said, look, they've got to open up their prisons and give us their criminals and their murderers and their drug lords, and we'll take care of them. And that's why crime is down in Minnesota, not because of anything they did, it's because of what we did. Same thing in Chicago. We have crime down in Chicago, and most people don't even know we're there, but we're there doing a good job. We have crime down all over the nation. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
That's a very dangerous shot he's got.
It's 10 quarters.
That's the worst. That's got to be the worst shot. I don't know. That's all right. Have a good time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Sarge just gave me a heads up from the green room that my mute was on. Hey, listen, folks, as much as I've been censored, nobody has censored me more than this guy. Okay. So, listen, very special edition tonight. I was planning on coming up, just kind of going over some of the stuff that's going on. And Sarge reached out and said, hey, man, why don't we do something on Texas? Because I had mentioned it last night. We had talked about it. And so, Sarge is going to join us tonight. We're going to talk about what's going on in Texas. We're going to cover some national stuff too, but primarily, if it's happening here in Texas, it's happening in your state. Okay. So without further ado, let me bring on Sarge here. Sarge, welcome, brother.
Hey, how's it going? Good evening. Yeah, I had to give you the heads up, man. You started talking. I was like, oh, no,
Dude,
no mic.
Listen, if you weren't here, I just would have gone on for another 10 minutes with the most amazing monologue I've ever done. Okay. And
never to be heard.
Never to be heard. And that's, I would have gotten the delayed, chat, you're muted. I would have gotten texts that you're muted. I would have gotten emails, you're muted. And some of that I don't even see either. So it might not have helped. So hey, thanks for coming on 2 nights in a row, man. So I appreciate wanting to really kind of dive into what's going on here in Texas. And I thought maybe we'd start with that video you tagged me on or sent me to the other day. And but what are your thoughts? Where would you like to begin? First off, congratulations, Dan Scavino, on your fabulous wedding today.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing.
Absolutely.
Dan, you're loved more than you may ever know in this movement, in this revolution. And we are just so appreciative of you, and so fabulous that President Trump is, hosting you at Mar-a-Lago for this amazing event. And yeah, you look fabulous, Dan. And you are one lucky dude, man, because your bride is spectacular. And yeah, fantastic. So wanted to congratulate Dan, and tell me what you're thinking, brother.
Well, I mean, we can kind of go all over the spectrum, right? We could talk a little bit about what we were talking about last night with the CDLs. We could talk about the illegals. We could talk about all the stuff that Greg is now finally trying to push through the ranks in respects to his campaign. We could talk about how he just endorsed himself as Hot Wheels. Like, come on, that's not a good. It's not a. It's a nickname that all of us who don't like you call you because you roll around in your wheels. You don't do much other than just slide and glide. And you like to, for the most part, gaslight most of Texans. You say you're going to do one thing and then you do another. The most important thing
is that you were hot in the 70s. That's probably
Yes.
the most important thing.
That's about it. That is
that
about it.
He was a good Republican in the 70s.
Yeah, all up
But-
until he took AIPAC money, kissed the Wailing Wall, bent down to BB, and took all of his lobbyists and donors' opinions and money. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, certainly President Trump has done the same, right? A little different story there.
Right.
President Trump didn't go to the WEF,
Correct.
right? We are not seeing the actions of a president that is beholden to, Klaus Schwab.
Correct.
Whereas we are seeing the actions here in Texas with Abbott in regards to the WEF.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention he's been on vaccine boards a lot as well. So there's that a little bit of history about him as well.
I did not know that. I did not know that. Yeah, so we're kind of going to show a few things to you this evening, my friends. What you okay with starting off with that video?
Yeah, you can go ahead and play whatever. It doesn't matter to me, brother. I'm here for you.
So let me pull up. Sarge sent this to me. This was shared by Amy Meck, by the way. Who do you know her, Sarge?
I don't know her personally, and I've been trying to get comms with her, but she's very busy, and she's been blasting on the entire Islamification of our state. That's one of her main goals.
Pretty important stuff here, and
great video too.
What's that?
So this is a great video.
Yes, it is. I mean, disturbing. And here's Amy Meck. Guys, if you want to follow her on X, and let's play this video. It's 10 minutes long, a little bit longer than 10 minutes, but very important. And just think, you're seeing the Texas flag here, backwards, upside down. It looks, is that right? No,
it's correct. Yeah, right is up. The white is supposed to be up. That's correct.
Okay. Just backwards the way the wind's blowing it. But
yes.
yeah, so yeah, let's just we'll play this. We'll we can get a few more ducks in a row for you as this is playing out.
Sure.
And let's let it go here.
Texas, home of cheerleaders and football, the best barbecue joints, pickup trucks, cheap gas, locked and loaded citizens, and the Dallas-Fort Worth stockyards where cowboys roam with their cattle. That was then. This is now. Crowds marching down the same streets. No cattle, just hordes from a terror-linked Pakistani group seizing Texas streets for Prophet Muhammad's birthday parade, waving foreign flags, chants echoing where hooves once thundered. Driving through Dallas-Fort Worth, those classic barbecue joints and Buc-ee's are now replaced with Arab shopping plazas.
طبعا هذا البلازا هو واحد من البلازات العربية الموجود هون، هو يسمى القرية العربية المصغرة. شيء يمني، شيء سوري، شيء عربي، شيء فلسطيني، شيء تراتيبي. تشعر حالك انك فعلا في ارض الوطن.
This is the masjid, and right across they have these shops, Epic Sweets, Muslim mortgages. Just a mile from here, the Epic grocery store with Haraz next to it. This is the life over here is totally different from any other city in America for Muslims.
Where Texas brisket and beaver nuggets ruled, now halal markets line the roads, and Pakistani and Palestinian flags fly high, overshadowing the Lone Star.
I had said a while back that over a year or so ago that I will fly the Palestinian flag until Palestine is free.
Along Texas highways, where God Loves Dallas once glowed bright, now Arabic billboards blast Arab radio stations and twist Jesus, pretending he was Muslim.
Alhamdulillah, once again, ICNA Houston and Why Islam have put up two amazing da'wah billboards in the month of December. One in Sugarland, right on Highway 6, and the second one in Houston, downtown.
Now, I was unaware that Jesus was Muslim, Sarge.
I'm infuriated right now, so excuse me.
Yeah, what Bible was that? Is that the Muhammad James version of the Bible?
I could give a shit list. It's all black. The fact that they're here's what I'm at. The fact that they're even putting this shit up on a billboard in the state of Texas absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah.
The fact that there's not and I'm totally against, as a Christian, I would never push anybody to do vandalism or to do harm or to do negativity. But the fact that that is still up, if it is in fact still up, what are we doing? Just what are we doing?
Yeah, I haven't seen this up near me, and I don't believe Austin is hit at the same level as
on the east side, on the
Dallas.
northeast side. It's like this. It's not like that, but on the northeast side, it's from basically when you get north of. Let me be careful here. Where the one, so if you go 291 and you have that, when you're going east, you have the option to get onto the 35 or go onto the one. Once you take the one or the 35 north, when you hit 45, east of 45, out east towards that whole stretch up there, it's a lot of Indian and a lot of Muslim out there. It's small in comparison to the rest of the areas around us, like in Dallas and in Houston, but there's a small little junction out there, and it's pretty bad too.
Okay, good to know. All right, here we go.
On I-45 South, both of these billboards convey the message of Tawheed, and they say, Jesus, peace be upon him, worshipped the one and only God, whom all of the other prophets of God worship. This is the core and one of the fundamental message and teachings of Islam.
The Dallas-Fort Worth Airport Chapel is no longer for Christians. It's been converted to a mosque where Christian pastors get kicked out for trying to practice their faith. And don't forget Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport, where there's a complete Sharia-compliant Islamic prayer complex in Terminal D.
The Houston branch of the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, is commending Houston airports. This is for establishing a new room to perform wudu and prayer facilities at George Bush Intercontinental Airport. Wudu refers to the purification Muslims perform before prayer. Located in Terminal D, CARE says the facilities offer a clean, peaceful space for daily prayers and ablution. It is one of the first airports in the U.S. to offer such amenities.
The classic Texas neighborhoods where American flags proudly fly from porches and poles, have now been replaced with Islamic communities. The mosque replacing the church as the true center of life, and all the small businesses now exclusively Muslim.
Assalamu alaikum. The Texas Muslim community needs your help. We have an opportunity today to buy one of the biggest churches in Texas and turn it into an Islamic center.
This is currently the church, but we have the chance, we'll have the opportunity, alhamdulillah, to convert it into a masjid and Islamic center as well.
Welcome to the future of living. Welcome to Epic City, commercial areas.
Okay, now this goes to a whole nother level that just makes those of us that are critical of Abbott just say, what the fuck? I mean, listen to this.
Well, there's 330 confirmed right now mosques that have been erected and are in full function. There is allegedly only 2 more that are being opened, but there are other it's not mainstream, but there's counts of up to 450, those that are not operating as mosques, but in the secret are mosques.
Mm.
So we're definitely infiltrated.
Yeah.
Welcome to Epic 2.0. Epic City is more than just a neighborhood. It's a way of life.
Obviously,
a meticulously designed community that brings Islam to the forefront.
Even the street signs have been transformed, now bearing Islamic names, history, and conquerors, showing how even this was conquered through strategic land grabs, exclusive developments, and renaming for supremacy, while the houses echo submission over American heritage.
Everybody is Muslim here. Names have been chosen on Muslim scientists of the golden era of Islam. So Muslims, right? Medina Villas, I knew it. They're Muslim. Irving, Texas. And we are entering a very interesting community. A community made up of Muslims. A community where the street names are all Muslims. This is the Valencia State's Mahmoud Egal Drive. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Only in Dallas, Texas, where you will see these homes where not even the people inside are Muslim, but actually the name of the streets are Muslim. Amal Saleh Drive, Subhanallah.
The schools where the Lone Star flag once proudly waved, where cheerleaders and football players said a prayer before the game, and the stadiums were filled with cheering fans. In their place now, stadiums full of Sharia-adherent gatherings, with worshippers facing Mecca, men bowing to Allah, and women forced to the back, while screams of Allahu Akbar fill the air. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahil hamd. Hayya ala al-falah. حي على Now, instead of Texas schools learning to love God and country, children learn terrorist slogans.
From the river to the sea, Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Where youth programs used to be spearheaded by patriotic teachers and coaches, they're now led by Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas-linked mentors.
اسمي مروان معروف، أنا المدير التنفيذي هون Executive Director Mass Youth Center. احنا عندنا روبوتكس تيم في المركز، وحتى الآن يعني انتشرنا في كذا مسجد ومركز في أمريكا، حوالي 20 مركز حتى الآن. اليوم كان عندنا ضيف المير تبع أرلينغتون، فعملنا له تور وعملنا له ديسبلاي، والأولاد عملوا برزنتيشن على الستيج.
Teachers push Sharia and resemble something from a caliphate, not America.
सरकार के आ जाने से, सरकार के आ जाने से.
Illuminating the Path of Faith, Darul Quran Project by Sheikh Hafiz Iqbal. This project, under the visionary guidance of Sheikh Hafiz Iqbal, is set to serve the religious needs of the increasing Muslim population in Greater Houston. And now, Sheikh Hafiz Iqbal has embarked on a new journey, a second initiative, a divine calling, the Darul Quran Project.
Texas, once the heartbeat of Americana, patriotic flags, Christian values, cowboys, cattle dogs, booming commerce, and the scent of barbecue. Now, tradition replaced with Islam. Sharia patrols roam the streets, enforcing rules that crush your freedoms. No open expression, no unchallenged American way, just compliance or consequences.
Operated by a Muslim. The Muslim Islamic code is that we avoid the use and the sale and distribution of pork, alcohol, and gambling products. We ask them not to do this.
Even our landmarks have been captured. South Fork Ranch, the iconic home of J.R. Ewing, Texas grit, oil, and unapologetic power, now hosts Eid celebrations by the Epic Moss Group.
We are standing out South Fork Ranch, where one of the most important and historic episodes of American television took place, the famous Dallas series. Not that I've ever watched any, and I don't know who killed JR, but I do know that, alhamdulillah, at the very location where that entire series was filmed, a historic event is going to take place, and that is our Eid al-Fitr, inshallah ta'ala, on the 2nd of May, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to be having the largest, the grandest, the most epic Eid that Dallas has ever seen.
What we idolized as kids, what felt like home, has been taken, mocked, turned into something else. Islam claiming the very soul of Dallas legend. From the stadium lights to the streets we walked to the ranch itself, Texas captured, symbol by heartbreaking symbol. But look at this. This is the beautiful Texas we're fighting to preserve. Those dads on horseback, flags flying high, cheering their boys to the playoffs with pure heart and pride. Cowboys, not jihadists. Friday night lights, not forced submission. American freedom, not Sharia. This is our heartbeat. This is who we are. Don't let her fall. Keep Texas, Texas.
All right. Wow.
And make Texas, Texas again, baby. Because if we don't, that's our future.
Absolutely. That was disturbing, and I'll say too that if this was another religion, I wouldn't have a problem with it. We don't have a problem with religions in this country, and that is why they've been able to do what they've done, is because we welcome all religions. This is the most in all-encompassing melting pot of a country that there has ever been in history. But for a religion that has these extreme views and wanting to bring all their Sharia law, wanting to, when you read their books, very, very disturbing. It's not that only one religion in this country. That's not what I don't think anybody is necessarily alluding to, although this country was built on Christian, by Christian men on Christian principles, but also Freemasons, which has its own kind of religion that can often dominate Christianity, but not by the men who did it, because they, this was the greatest constitution ever created, save maybe for the slaves, and which was amended, which was corrected by Republicans, by the way. Your thoughts?
Well, from being, this is tough for me because that whole thing, all it did was just make me completely irate. But I will say this, as a former Marine with a few deployments and seeing what these people do and how they act and
where were you deployed?
So the first time I went out was 2011 when we went to Afghanistan. I never left the wire. But the good thing is that, I shouldn't say it was a good thing. It didn't matter. We were still always under attack. We were still always running for our bunkers. I'd get up out of the middle of the night, have to go and grab all my shit and get armed and go underneath and get ready for a potential attack. I mean, we were always getting hit with RPGs. We were always getting hit with IDF.
What's the wire?
The wire is basically the outside of the base. So whatever the furthest outer perimeter wall is before you end up in what's considered the red territory. And there's like a sector of green zone that we can cover by visible sight around the outside of a base. But that only goes as far as you allow the permissibility of that area. But
great that you're saying that the way you are, because Tim Walz would have said that, he took heavy gunfire and returned and had
him
7 kills and
Buttigieg. But no, I saw everything happen live. I wasn't one of those guys that was out there. Because, in the beginning, I was a tactical data systems administrator, and basically what I worked on was called the Theater Battle Management Core System. And without going into too deep details of what it is, it's essentially an air propagation AI. It was an early military AI system, and it went from being about 14 transit cases that were about this wide by this. I mean, you can't see, but they're about 2 feet tall by 3 feet wide by 4 feet deep, and there's these massive Sunblade servers. There's at least 14 transit cases. It was a absolute pain to set up, wires everywhere. They have it now into a computer that's no bigger than what I'm using right now in front of me. They have it condensed down real small, and a bunch of these different servers within it that are on virtual drives instead of having physical drives. So they've been able to use AI as well to put all that together. But basically what it does is you give it all the propagated data you need to do something, and then it gives you all the output information, how much ammo you need, what aircraft you need, how far you need to go, what time of day and night, and it takes everything into account of weather, barometric pressure, the weight of each individual, the weight of each bullet or round or whatever. So it was a very, very, very sophisticated piece of software that I was in charge of making sure was running, and not to mention a lot of other things, Active Directory users and all that kind of stuff within the system. But my overall scope was basically that of a hacker to manipulate firmware, software, and physical hardware.
Wow.
And my other baby was the Blue Force Tracker. We were in charge of that as well. But I was always in the Tactical Air Command Center, which is the TAC. And we watched everything happen live feed. So I watched all the gunfights happen on Scan Eagle drones. I watched every bomb dropped. I watched all of it occur, all the bloodbath. We had access to all of the videos and stuff that was happening from the missions prior and everything that we were supporting out there. And I tell you, these people, we went out there I was out there with MTAX 28, and then we went out there with a sister company, Com Squadron 28. We're not even on base in Cherry Point. We're not even a quarter mile away from each other, the units themselves, the buildings. And their CO went out to, I can't remember if it was Lashkar Gah or if it was Ramrod, one of the FOBs out there, to watch these ANA. And remember, we were talking about this last night, the Afghan National Army, they're not to be trusted. They were out there training them so they could take them forward and go fight. Well, one of the ANA guys turned left and sprayed the whole damn firing line and took out 7 Marines and 3 or 4 soldiers. And one of those Marines was our Com Squadron CO, Lieutenant Colonel Palmer. And if you remind me, by the end of this, I'll show a couple of photos where we're in front of one of the tributes that me and one of the other guys made. Cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he was another corporal. And we built this out of wood, this beautiful shrine for him in front of the group compound. And it was called Palmer's Corner or something like that. And but these people are not to be trusted. And then when we went out in 2017, we were in the Persian Gulf. We landed in Kuwait, and then we bounced around between Bahrain, Kuwait, and Iraq. And we covered the entire northern AO of Iraq, the whole western AO of Iraq, most of Syria, and the tri-border between Syria, Iraq, and Jordan. And we were literally out there decimating ISIS. And I watched every single bomb get dropped on ISIS. I was part of the mission briefs for every pilot that went out there and laid waste to those guys. I was an integral part of that, because then I was a weather forecaster. I was a meteorological analyst and forecaster at that point. I had switched over.
Wow.
And I did that for 5 years, and I went forward and I did some of the best work I've ever done in an area, which is where we could talk about this in another show. I truly believe that weather is 100% modified. And the only reason why, and I'll give just a small window into it, is in the United States, the continental United States, there are data points galore across the nation in the form of what's called an AWOS, which is basically a temperature dew point, wind speed calculator, and a SkyCon calculator, which you can see how high up the clouds are, how thick they are based off of movement and all that stuff, right? And when you go out to the area and you're forecasting for a place like Iraq or Syria, where there's maybe 3 or 4 data points, but you're still able to accurately forecast with a 98, 97% accuracy, and not 30 years of climatological data, so no propagation. So it really led me to believe that. But anyways, that's another conversation for another time. We can dive deep into that too. So I watched all this occur, and then at this point we're fighting ISIS, and the ANA were still finding their way from Afghanistan to go fight with ISIS. They were pulling a lot of the people from former Al-Qaeda and former Taliban groups into Iraq, northern Iraq, teaching them how to speak the language in Iraq, which is not Farsi, it is not Pashto. So they were teaching them how to speak their form of Arabic, which I can't remember what it's called. And what they were able to do was use them as well as forces. So these ANA guys that once fought side by side with us were out there hooking and jabbing with ISIS, trying to help erase Christianity from Syria, because most people don't understand this, but Syria was a massive Christian nation on a lot of parts on the eastern and southern fronts. There was a lot of Christianity out there. There was a lot of churches and Christian shrines and stuff like that they went and they destroyed. A lot in northern Iraq as well. Mosul, Erbil, all those areas out there had a lot of Christian history in it. And what ISIS was primarily doing was going out there and destroying it. These same people are here in this state. It's the same ideological extremism that they're using out there that's here in the States too.
So this is a very unique perspective that you have, because you saw them in their homeland. And now you're seeing them in our homeland.
Correct.
And the reason why this is such an important topic in regards to Texas is because we're supposed to be it.
Yes.
I mean, we're supposed to be the
jewel of the United States.
Absolutely. The Lone Star State, and it's and very much independent. I mean, there's been talks of, through a lot of the Democrat presidencies, there's been talks of secession from the United States.
Nonstop.
Right?
We are considered the only sovereign state in the United States of America. We were literally, because honestly, if you think about it, Alaska is more of a territory, and Hawaii was just not correctly obtained by us in the first place. But Texas is supposed to be the only sovereign, only true-blooded sovereign state of the United States. It's the only one that was left. It's the only one that it is. And if you look at today's dynamics and how, and I try not to. I sound like I'm a national. I'm like anti, all these things, but I just got to be straight up, dude. Like when you bring in all these Indians on H-1B visas, and you bring in all of these Muslims via Operations Allies Welcome, which was put out in 2021, like I was talking about during our CDL find that we dumped all that in FBI last night. In August, I can't remember who it was. Mayorkas dropped the Operation Allies Welcome, and that allowed for the floodgates for all of the ANA to come over. And in the ANA are quite literally the Islamic extremists from Afghanistan. These people who flipped on us every single fucking day, nonstop. There you go, right there. And it's way more than 80,000 that came from here. It's way more than that. These numbers are so suppressed, it's ridiculous. But that's it right there.
Do you have an idea of the numbers and who's tracking them?
There's no way to propagate it. I mean, I've seen numbers as high as 1 million. I've seen numbers as low as 90,000. I've seen stuff in between 250, 300,000. None of this stuff can be verified. I just know it's more than 80,000. I can guarantee you it's way more than 80,000.
So,
because even Tim Kennedy was talking about going back over and over and over again. Remember, I was talking about that last night as well on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was talking about going back over there and getting 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, just in a couple of months. And he was doing that for nearly a year and a half or something like that. He was doing it over and over again.
So from a standpoint of most of us, certainly, on this show, I covered, the Afghan withdrawal live as it was happening and, talked about it at length. And this audience is very, just awake and aware of, you know, not just the problems we're in Afghanistan. And I want to ask you that next. I know we're taking a side step here outside of
It's all
Texas, but
related. It's all
yeah,
related,
right.
brother.
It's all related. But what was your visceral experience when you saw that withdrawal, and how were you connected with anybody that was a part of it? Did you know anybody that was affected by it? Excuse
Um, well, I had gotten out in 2018, and that was botched in 20. Yeah, it was botched in 21. Yeah, so it was botched in 21. So I'd already been out for a few years. I didn't personally know anybody that was out there, but I knew people that were out there, and they were very upset and they were very pissed off about it. And I've been in that area. So you have Kabul, and then you have Kandahar Air Force Base, which isn't very far from that. I've been there, and it's a very desolate area. It's very flat land. It is nothing but sand and haboobs, right? They get hit with those massive 200-300-foot haboobs like twice, 2-3 times a year. And they'll last for up to 3 to 4 days each, and they'll just ruin everything.
And what is all I heard was boobs.
Haboob. No, a haboob is basically a massive dust storm. It can get as high as 500-600 feet, but typically they're right around 300 feet to
Wow.
about 250,
Okay.
300 feet tall, and they'll span 2, 3, 4 miles wide, and they'll last for a day. They'll last for somewhere between 12 to 16 hours, and then the settling and everything hanging out will be almost about a day to maybe even 2 days. You'll have leftover dust and everything sitting around. But these are areas that are desolate, and they're ran by Al Qaeda, they're ran by Taliban, they're ran by ISIS. These are areas that were lost to control, and that's why the communications were, if you remember, that Biden was saying, well, we're gonna work with Al Qaeda for protection against the outside elements. Which then next thing you know, we have that bomb that goes off the next day. The very next day he says that, or 2 days later, the bomb goes off, and you have those 13 service members, and half of them, I think almost all of them, were Marines minus 1 or 2 of them. And I just remember when that happened, I was so angry because we have never been, I shouldn't say never, because we got attacked a bunch of times on our base. And matter of fact, the year after I left, and I met this dude later down the road, the northeast airfield, or the only airfield, but on the northeast side of it, which is Bastion 1, because Bastion 0 is where the airfield is, and then Bastion 1 is just north of it. And I'll pull that up on Google Maps later if you want, and I can show you what it looks like. They came in from the northeast side, and they took out a bunch of our Harriers, a bunch of our helicopters, a bunch of Marines died. They flooded in with I think it was somewhere between like 30 or 40 straight, and it turned into a massive firefight, and we lost a bunch of Marines then too. One of my brothers, Brock Tavar, who I met in sergeant's course in 2016, was there when it happened, and he was one of the few that had to return fire and handle business. And and we had a conversation. He lost me at boobs. Yeah, we had a conversation about it, and one of his fellow Marines died out there on the field, and one of his pilots died on that field, and it was hard for him to have that conversation, but these are the same type of people that we put in the same firing line with us to go out and fight. So the fact that these people are here via Operation Allies Welcome is a massive disservice to not only the United States, but to Texas and to every veteran in Texas. Because I don't know if you know this, but the overwhelming majority of the people that serve in the United States military come from a few places, and Texas is one of the biggest spots they come from. One of the heaviest percent, one of the highest percentages is out of Texas, especially for the Marine Corps. And you can't, and Doc says this all the time, and he's absolutely true. You can't go anywhere. You can't go 5 miles in Texas without throwing a dead cat, and hitting a special forces operator. You just can't. They're everywhere. We're everywhere here. So the heightened level of awareness, and I feel bad for a lot of people, because it scared the shit out of me when I first moved here in 2018. My wife was pregnant at the time. We're obviously not together anymore, but at the time she was, I want to say she was like 7 or 8 months. And this was in probably May of 19 or June of 19, somewhere in there. And we walk into a Target in Cedar Park. And Cedar Park is heavy Indian territory, but there's a lot of Arabic people there too. They started flushing in and moving. That's why I said they started moving out east. And I walked in and there was a lady. She was in a full, whatever you call that, hijab or whatever. And all she had was that little window, brother. And I turned the corner and she was right there. And I carry everywhere I go. I saw her. I froze. I literally went to go pick up my shirt and reach for my pistol. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I need to stop. And I looked at her and she was like, you need to go outside. I said, yeah, I'm going to go sit in the truck and wait for you. She goes, I'll be real quick. We only went in there for 2 things. And she was out in like 20 minutes and that was it. But I can only imagine.
You sure it wasn't a Japanese ninja?
Negative. No, this was a full on dark ghost outfit. Yeah, no swords, man. If anything, there might have been an improvised explosive device underneath that at best. Yeah. But it set me back, because these are the people that we've fought for so long, and these are the people that I'm used to fighting, not physically, but even in a tertiary or secondary support element, watching and supporting everything that is going on to eliminate these bad actors. And I can have a conversation about Afghanistan. We were the terrorists on that one, but it doesn't change the fact that these people are now here. And, I remember being out there and we were having a brief and our CEO was like, I wouldn't be, we were smoking a cigarette and back when I used to smoke, and he was smoking a cigar. And I remember we were sitting there and he goes, son, I wouldn't be surprised. And the chief warrant officer says the same thing too. Like a week later, we were out there working out in the gym. He goes, they both said almost word for word, I wouldn't be surprised if the sons and daughters of these people end up in America in the future trying to take it over and to get us back. And look where we're at.
Whoa.
Yes, look where we're at. And that was 2011, brother. That was 15 years ago now.
Wow.
And look where we're at.
Check this out, Billy Boyd Project. It just dawned on me lately that the scare event mentioned in the Q drops is quite possibly this. It's going to look like we completely lost our nation with zero hope of saving it. But God, and then let me see if I can find his the rest
next
of
post.
his.
Yeah, that sounds.
Billy.
That sounds about it, man. I would have to agree with him on that because it has to look like we're about to lose it all, right?
Yeah. The precipice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't want to stop you if you had more to share on that.
No, we're just generalizing right now. Laying the picture in the foundation.
Yeah, but what an incredible comment by him. Now,
yes.
Now, could you see, based on your work over there, I have 2 questions. One, would you be okay with some of the people that were actually helpful to the U.S. cause over there to be brought over here? And do you think they've just used that as a way to mask this mass importing of these, radicalism?
Well, this goes back to, before I give that answer, this goes back to he who should not be named, right? No Name. No Name was real big in what was going on with all this stuff. He helped set up the majority of it. He helped lead the invasion into Iraq and into Afghanistan. He had big hands in that.
And Graham.
Yes. He had big hands in that, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you were to ask me, would I trust anyone over there who prays 5 times a day to Allah, denounces Jesus in their Bible, that they could be trusted here in a nation that's mostly Christian and where Jesus is mine and many other people's savior?
Yeah.
Would I be able to trust that person? The answer is no. Only because I've seen how they have radicalized and I've seen how they have turned. I've seen, and I know firsthand witness by losing my sister company CEO, a man that I shook hands was a man that I went to chow with multiple times before he was gone and never to be seen again, other than in a casket and a ramp ceremony, about 2 days, actually the next day they sent him out. The answer is no, unfortunately.
Okay.
I cannot.
Okay.
But
so
there are recorded, instances of where a few of them have come and converted to Christianity and live a different life. I'm not saying that's your ticket into my heart box and to pull my strings, but if you are able to denounce and get rid of that ideology and that theory that is nothing about the Quran is nice, just like the Talmud, nothing about the Talmud is good.
Mhm.
If you can denounce that and you can change the way that you see things and you become a better person on your own and you don't
Yeah.
follow that way of life, then yeah, I can accept you into my window of, I'll
People
leave you
say
alone.
that people criticize Christianity sometimes when we talk about the Talmud and the Quran because the Old Testament was pretty radical and
It
pretty
was very
nasty as
radical.
well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's kind of like but when Christianity is in the subject, we're talking New Testament.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
There were some
Mhm.
predictions in the Old Testament. There were some things in the Old Testament. A lot of plagiarism.
Yes.
In the Old Testament. But back to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
One of the things I reported on was back in the day was Tillman.
Oh yeah, Pat Tillman. Yep. That was a blue on blue incident.
Yeah. But they made it this, they didn't say that. Blue on blue meaning it was friendly fire.
Yes.
But they made it so that it was not in the media. Correct? That
Yeah,
was
well their initial excuse was their Blue Force tracker wasn't reporting, which remember I said I used to work on that thing, and I can tell you that thing is a piece of shit. But
what
that
is
was a
that
perfect
that
the
you're
Blue
talking
Force
about?
the Blue Force tracker is it was an early modern day version of a GPS system that co-located your unit via the device itself, and it gave the call sign for the unit's parameters. It had whatever the instructions were for the unit would pull into it. So like if you're out there with multiple different facets and different units functioning all together in different areas of an AO, you can know exactly where they're at, and you'll have their mission set and what it is that they're doing, what their goal is as part of that mission will pull up in some of that information when you click on the little screen on the passenger side, the A driver, so you have the driver and then him. They were blaming in the initial, if I remember correctly, what they blamed initially was the Blue Force tracker, that it wasn't reporting that there was friendlies in that area. And because they couldn't see friendlies in that area and there was gunfire and there was movement, they unloaded fire. Well, what they did was just quite literally execute this man.
Yes. So the execution, my speculation and a lot of people's speculation, and I think it's beyond speculation, I think it's closer to fact, is that our military was basically helping out the opium trade over there.
Yep.
We were supporting it. We were protecting the trade routes. We were growing it. Did you have any firsthand experience with that or connection with people that had firsthand?
Well, yes and no, not firsthand, but secondary, of course. Yes, I did know some people. But if you watch the movie Operation Obscura, or it's just Obscura, it's about a recon team that goes out there, a Marine recon team, and they actually go out there and they show a lot of video of where we were actually destroying their fields. More of what we did than not was we destroyed a lot of opium fields because of the way things were happening towards the back end of the war. We were out there at first in the beginning, yeah, but realistically what our goal was to remove their economic stance. They were a powerhouse for opium. They were a powerhouse, and a lot of their funding was coming from China in the beginning, because a lot of their sales and their marketing was going to China, because China was big into opium. And then obviously you have Big Pharma was a big purchaser of their crops as well. A lot of the stuff that we did do was protected initially, and then we turned around and burned a lot of it, and we destroyed a lot of it. And when I was out there, we were doing the protecting of it. And when some of my friends were out there later at the latter edges, 13 and 14, they were doing a lot of destroying of it, a lot of removing it, burning it, ripping them down, running them over with the dozers and stuff like that. And that was what really pissed them off on our way out. We were pulling out, and then we said, oh, by the way, fuck your economy. And we laid waste to it.
Yeah. So the Poppy Bush, right? Right. I mean,
right.
I mean the basically what I've discovered was the Taliban had lowered the production of opium.
Yeah.
And when we went significantly by like 90%, and then when we went in, which was of course complete bullshit that we should have been there to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
because anybody that's awake has studied 9/11, and we understand that it wasn't done by a guy in a cave in Afghanistan. You know, um, so it wasn't a bunch of guys trying to seek virgins. But
who was a CIA asset, by the way, the CIA asset.
Yeah, Tim Osman. I mean, come on, man. I mean, this is like, this is like, the 101 stuff.
Yeah.
So, so this is a real, like, we have a lot of military here in this audience, military families, like through and through. And they know how I treat our military. They also know that I am very critical of the way in which our military has been used.
Absolutely.
As you look back on your career, and by the way, the military are the most brainwashed of us all.
Correct.
And I don't mean that like demeaning to you as a person or any veteran as a person.
Absolutely
It's
not.
just like, many of us, and me included, by the way, when I talk about, I was, I don't know, 41, 42 when I really woke up. I had some other awakenings before that, but so I lived most of my life. I mean, you've got me beat right now. Like, you're way ahead of me. Okay. So for me, I was brainwashed into believing this, believing that. You guys were brainwashed into killing for that.
Yes.
And that's a whole other level. When you look back on now that you're awakening, I'm fascinated by the experience that real veterans have looking back on seeing everything play out. Does it make you angry? What's the feeling that you have?
Oh, yes. So here's a tidbit if you didn't know. I was born in Fresno, raised in Sacramento. When I'm a Californian, born and raised as well.
25 years for me.
Yeah, I left when I was 18. As soon as that was my ticket out, was the Marine Corps. Never went back. I have not gone back. I visited 3 times or 4 times since then, and that was all while I was in the service. When I joined, it was 2009, and I, on purpose, did not vote. By the grace of God, I did not vote for either McCain or Obama. And I skipped the election altogether, and I decided to join the military. And in 2009, I went out in March, and I'll attest to that brainwashing real quick. Instant willing obedience to orders. It comes from marching. It comes from repetitive slogans, mottos, phrases, all kinds of stuff, to the effect of, die motherfucker, get some repeat, which is the cadence for the machine guns. When you say that, that's the timing between the talking guns, and talking guns is one will fire back and forth. Well, that time frame is saying what I just said. I don't want to keep saying it, but it's diameter, get some repeat. And you say that over and over again. You say things like, all the time you say kill, like your recognition that, hey, I need you to go take care of that. All right, kill, rah, and these are things that there's
you take me back to the rat-a-tat-tat. So your cadence of this verbiage that you're putting out is exactly what?
Die motherfucker, get some repeat. They taught us to scream that out loud as we're pulling the trigger.
Whoa.
Yes, and you have to say that every time you shoot. Every time you shoot, every time you pull that trigger on the belt-fed machine guns, that
sounds a little like my commute, actually.
Down to 290, right? But yeah, so that's the MK Ultra. That's the brainwashing. That's the satanic rituals. And then when
Wow.
you're marching, the marching is, you hear all the time, you hear left, right, left, and it sounds, when you're marching, it sounds all cool and everything, but the more you hear it, the more you listen to it, the more that you're tuning into the cadence and the way it sounds and the tunes and the levels and how they actually sing the cadence. It becomes a control mechanism, because there's then you learn to not walk and move without hearing those words. You're trained to not walk and talk, to not walk and eat, to not walk and chew gum, to not walk and be on the phone, to not walk and do anything other than walk. No hands in your pockets. You're not allowed to, when you're outside, you have to have you call it a hat, but we call it a cover, right? Obviously I wouldn't wear it backwards. I'd wear it forward. And when you're indoors, you cannot wear anything on your head whatsoever, unless it's a beanie and the AC is broken, or excuse me, the heater is broken and it's basically just a covered area. Then you can have something on your head, which would be a beanie, right?
What if you're Muslim? What if you're Muslim?
What's funny is the Army was so permissive with that stuff, and the Marine Corps never happened. There are very few Muslims in the Marine Corps. As a matter of fact, I don't think I know of a single one of them that I've ever met, I've ever seen that was a full-on Muslim. Never.
Interesting. How about Jews?
I think I don't know. I don't know about the other religions. I never really paid attention to it. I didn't come to Christ until I was 33. Odd number enough, right? But but I never disrespected. I never had, I was always on the fence. I didn't have any proof to prove it was, and I had no proof to prove he wasn't, right? So I just sat in the middle, and I was respectful as best I could, but I never followed one way or the other. But there was a lot of there's a lot of Asians, there's a mixed race of everything, but I never saw a Muslim. I never saw anybody to the effects of I don't know, maybe that was just the recruiters never sought out for these people, or if they showed up, they would say, no, you need to go to the Army, because the Marine Corps was very selective of who they let in. And I can almost guarantee you that was not on the bingo card.
Well, that was also before it went woke too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we were also fighting them too. So why would we allow them to be in the ranks with us? There's very few.
Right.
I know of one now. He's actually on X. His name is Rock, ROC. I don't know his full name, but he has a picture with Jeff Sessions, I believe, or he's a Sessions or Brennan. I can't remember. I have the photo saved on my phone. But he was a linguist that was from Afghanistan. He came to this country. He was born in this country. His mother and father immigrated legally, and he ended up joining the Marine Corps. And he's the only one I've ever heard of, I've ever known of. I don't know of any other ones at all whatsoever. I've never met another one.
Okay.
But there's one, but I didn't physically know him. I didn't know him in the Marine Corps. I met him just about a year ago or so, actually, here he could be totally, BSing, but he has photos, he has the pictures. It all looks legit to me. So I'm not gonna discredit it. But
right.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's definitely a control mechanism. It's a mantra. It's a brainwashing. And I was upset when we were in Afghanistan for what was going on, because it was weird in Afghanistan. It was, you're not allowed to shoot back unless you were shot upon, and you could have dudes right in front of you. You could have 40 dudes in front of you. And I've watched this on live feed 100 times. There would be an encounter where, in some cases, where it would be not a high risk factor or a hot area, but there would be trucks. Like, have you ever seen the show Generation Kill on HBO?
No.
That's a good one for you to watch. It's an 8-part series. They're about an hour each. It's well worth it. And anybody in the chat that's paying attention on the show, watch Generation Kill. It's on HBO. It's beautiful. It's an old one. Came out in like the same time frame I was actually going in. It's like 08 or 09 it dropped. But it's phenomenal. It's about the push into Iraq and Fallujah. It's spot on everything.
Okay.
And there will be instances, it didn't happen much in Afghanistan as it did in Iraq, but it still happened, where you'd be going through some of the towns, driving through, and there'd be a bunch of dudes with AKs, and you couldn't do anything unless one of them actually pulled the trigger at you.
Which you're dead.
Yes. At that point, you're in a full conflict.
You're dead. It's not like,
you're reacting.
Hey, you're not allowed to throw back the, you're not allowed to throw back the, what do you call it? Dodgeball until somebody throws at you. No, they shoot, and, then you're supposed to shoot.
Well, thank Geneva Conventions for that, and the rules of engagement that were applied by the Obama administration. But this was the weird part. Once they shot at us, it was gloves off, and you could just lay waste and lay hate. It didn't matter. It didn't matter the casualties. It didn't matter who was to the left or the right. It was just let it go. but you had to wait to be attacked. So we were always in a protective defensive posture, not a defensive posture. So we
Right.
were always in a weakened state. In Iraq in 2017, how we were operating, and it was mostly by air, very few ground forces. In fact, if anything, it was maybe some Green Berets, maybe some MARSOC dudes, maybe some Navy SEALs, but there was no mass boots on ground. And that's how Raising Cane wanted it. Because initially it was going to be, and when I went out there, they were initially going to attach us to 1st MARSOC Raider Battalion. And we were going to go out because METOC is one of the very few MOSs in the Marine Corps that can be attached to a JSOC team or a MARSOC team. And they
what is
didn't.
that? What is that?
So MARSOC is Marine Special Operations Command. It's you don't really hear about it much because they're neck and neck with Navy SEALs, but the MARSOC is who literally does the majority of the president's main high-profile missions.
Okay.
Navy SEALs do they'll go out in groups of, well, each unit I believe has between 6 and 10, and those will be more of the like narrative changing type missions. Like the Green Berets will go out there and try to overthrow a government or overthrow a particular party or something, and those Navy SEALs will come back in behind them and help them out with that. MARSOC is like Maduro.
Okay.
You see, like high profile in and out missions, and that's what was on the ground in Venezuela were MARSOC Marines. And instead of doing that, they sent us out with air squadrons. So that's why I said I was integral to all of the mission briefings while we were dropping all the bombs, and I watched every single one of them land that was out there. But for us, it was the first question on every single mission was, what's our casualty rate? So Trump had a completely different narrative. I shouldn't say narrative, it wasn't a narrative. It was a completely different ball game he was playing. It was always about safety. What's the casualty rate? Who's in the area? Are there children? Are there innocent men and women? Do we need to use this GBU versus that GBU? Do we need small release charge or massive release charge? Do we need to level the building, or do we need to take a level of the building out? So all of the very specific parameters for how we were taking these people out mattered. And if there was going to be no casualties, we can have a nice big show. But if we needed to be precise with a 3 or 4 or 5 meter blast radius, and there was one mission, I'll never forget it. It was a 10-story building, and he was on the 5th floor. And we dropped a bomb right down the middle of the stairwell, on just left of the stairwell. It punched through the ceiling, but it was like literally right between the edge of the wall, and there's like a middle stairwell down the middle of it, you can see straight down. And it punched down the north side of it, straight to the 5th floor, blew out the whole 5th area on the north side of that building, and nothing else was damaged. Just the floor. Wow. That's how precise we were. So everything was all about precision with Trump, and with Obama, it was once you get shot at, then just take everybody out you want. It didn't matter. And that's why Afghanistan was so hard for a lot of people, because they had to deal with taking out men and women. Have you ever heard the story of the little girl with the rose? A lot of the times out in Afghanistan, and I'll never forget the story that a Marine told me. It was the most heart-wrenching thing I ever heard while I was out there. And he was one he had been out there 4 times. I was out there in 11. He had been out there since 2008. He had cycled him in and out over and over and over again. And he was an infantry cat. I was talking with him in the chow hall. I can't remember his name. I don't even know if he gave me his name. We were just sitting there bullshitting. And he goes, yeah, I remember there was this little girl, and you could see on his face that he'd been through it. Like he had been through all of it. And he had that 1,000-yard stare. And he was like, yeah, man, I remember this one time we were going by whatever village it was. And this little girl, we had been there 4 or 5 times, play soccer, trade chocolates, give them water. And just this last time, I didn't get off the truck. And, Sergeant and Corporal so-and-so walked down there, and he goes to trade the water, because she would always give a rose, like as a thank you. And he didn't even think about it. She was wearing a poofy ass jacket in the middle of summer that was like twice the size for the girl. And when she went to go hand the rose and he pulled the rose, boom.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. And
wow.
All the Marine, I can't remember the number, but it was probably 5 or 6 or 7. But he said the whole squad was gone.
Jeez.
And he and the little girl were eviscerated, like nothing. And there was a 2-foot hole in the ground, and it was massive, the size of a small pool. He said it was just a disgusting thing. And he said it was about 50 yards away from me, and it knocked me off my gun. He was up on the turret.
Mm.
And I'm just like, this is the shit that we dealt with. They will use anything, just like in the scene from American Sniper when he's like, no, don't do it, don't do it. And the kid's got the RPG. He's like, don't do it, don't do it. You know, they will use. This is why it's just the level of, it's the level of jihad that they will go through to meet their 72 virgins, and it's sick. It's insane. They'll sacrifice their own children. And these are the things. And so no, I'm not proud of at all of what I was a part of in Afghanistan. Not even a little bit. I tell people all the time, I hate what I was a part of in Afghanistan, but I absolutely love and cherish that I had the opportunity and the ability to literally, yeah, absolutely. There is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare, 1000%. And we've been in the Middle East for 20 plus fucking years for nothing, just to destabilize it. That's it. That's it.
You know, Sarge, if you had ultimate TDS and all you focused on was President Trump not taking us into wars, getting us out of wars, stopping wars, to me, if he did nothing else, like if Joe Biden, well, that's a bad example because
if the auto pen,
that's yeah. Let's say the auto pen, yeah. But it's just if that was the only thing we looked at, that would be enough for hundreds of millions of people, because that's how many people are affected by it. And they won't even give him credit for that because of the TDS is just too strong,
right?
So very, I mean, very unique perspective that you have, and now having been over there and fought, and having seen the tactics, and having seen the way they are. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are they not laughing at us?
Oh, and brother, all of their brothers and sisters and sons and daughters that went during that war are wherever they're at right now. Absolutely, whether it be hell or whatever their version of heaven is, if they are in fact there, which I doubt it. They are definitely laughing at us, and all of the old leaders, the Redbeards, if they're all still alive and kicking, and they're knowing what's going on over here, they're laughing at us. And all of the senior leadership that is here in the States, they are laughing at us. Absolutely.
They're calling us fools because we're fools, because we're letting the fox into the hen house.
Yes.
And it's just, and one of the things that is so apparent to me in watching how these Democrats and these agitators and Antifa and BLM are fighting for the rights of those who deny the rights of others. And that's what we're seeing with this invasion of Islam into this country.
Yeah, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Ikhwan.
Yeah. And by the way, we're getting out, President Trump called the Somalians garbage. Oh, so unpresidential. I mean, how rude to call people garbage, right? I mean, what a more maroon, what the hell's he doing? And then a week and a half later, all this fraud busts open, right?
God bless Nick Shirley.
Yeah. And David,
yeah. Oh, yeah. The other guy. Yeah, he was. And the balls on both of them. To be honest with you.
Yeah. That was huge.
Nick Sordo got out there too, and was getting in their face as well.
Yep. And so watching all this unfold, and now the Haitians. Have you seen this? The Haitians, February 3rd. Is there they have to be out of the country.
Oh, good.
Yeah, this is let me pull this up. It's basically the President Trump. I just had this up. Where did it go? Where did it go? Yeah. Okay. Must be on my other. Okay. So here's the story. The Springfield braces for immigration enforcement as Haitian TPS expires. The Department of Homeland Security ended temporary protected status for about 340,000 Haitians nationwide, effective 11:59 p.m. on February 3rd, 2026, after court delays. Springfield, home to 12 to 15,000 Haitians who fill vital manufacturing jobs and boosted local businesses. Meanwhile, the white people are out of jobs.
Yep.
Now prepares for possible ICE operations targeting those losing protection. While Governor DeWine, another worthless rhino, calls the move a mistake for Ohio's economy and offers state support if needed, figures like Senator Bernie Moreno insist it's time for them to return home amid Haiti's instability. And Miller was like, under what definition are Haitian illegal migrants flown here by the Biden administration and Ohio community? Democrats just flatly reject any concept of nationhood that has ever existed in human history. And this is DeWine's statement. I'm calling on the administration to extend TPS for Ohio's Haitian community. And Haitian Americans don't have a safe place to return to in Haiti, and our communities across Ohio depend on them to help our local economy thrive. Well, friends, speaking of throwing dead cats, they're eating dead cats. They're eating the cats and dogs. And they will be safe again in Ohio.
Before we go too far off of the Islamification in Texas, and I'm down, I do want to talk about other things, but I want to bring up, I got two things down there in the deal there. The PDF on slide 97, go ahead and bring that up first, because I want to show
the one closest to you.
Yeah, well, no, there should be two of them. One has the actual helicopter view from the outside, and one has one from the inside. The one from the inside. Yes. So I've got
to get rid of this. Hold on.
There we go. So this is Doc inside of a helicopter on his way to Colony Ridge. Now you can see Doc Pete Chambers. Yes, sir. Lieutenant Colonel Pete Chambers. If you look, it says Colony Ridge Development, August 2023. Well, Colony Ridge is now called the Meadow. If nobody knows that, everybody should know that by now if they're paying attention.
Okay.
It is now called the Meadow. If you look at these coordinates, it's just on the northeast side of Houston, outside probably about 25 to 30 miles just outside of New Caney. This is what it looked like. If you can barely see off in the distance, this is what it looked like before the video I'm going to have you play in just a minute here. And it's quite a big video, but it goes into depth of basically what we're talking about and what's going on in here. Now,
how far from downtown Houston is this?
This is about, I say it's probably about 30 minutes just outside. I want to say it's probably right down at 69. It's about 30 minutes down the 69 to the northeast, 30 to 35 minutes. It's not very far at all. It's just outside the limits. You take 69 out, if I remember correctly, it's from the city center. It's about 35 or 36 minutes straight to the site. So this is what is now being called the Meadow. And if you go to the other one now, just so we can see how unplanned it looks, I want people to really pay attention to how undeveloped this is. And this was in 2019. He took these photos.
Okay.
Now go ahead and go to the other one, and I'll click play on it. And we'll watch. Let me go to the deal here.
Right now, we're conducting an aerial recon of the Colony Ridge area, aka La Colonia. It's in Liberty County. It's about 40 square miles. It's
Started about 2010, 2015, the first complaints started coming out at county level. Since then, that time, it's been occupied by at least, I'm going to say, somewhere around 50,000, mostly illegal, Hispanic community. It's way higher than that. We're going to go look at it. We're going to compare it to August of 2023 when we came through here the first time on the first view for Operation Burning Edge.
On the periphery of the Houston metropolitan area, some 40 miles from downtown, is a string of developments that are changing the face of rural Liberty County. I'm calling it Colony Ridge, but it's actually 6 different adjacent subdivisions, all developed in affiliation with the Colony Ridge name, a development company started by pro boxer turned real estate developer Trey Harris. And it happened fast. In just over a decade, Colony Ridge has gone from uninhabited timber forest to the largest community in the county, with over 5 times the population of the county seat of Liberty. But nearly as soon as the subdivisions began construction, so did the controversy.
And now to Colony Ridge, where a community of about 40,000 people located 40 miles northeast of Houston has found itself in some...
Now real quick. Yeah, now real quick. This is not just Hispanics. Now keep in mind, the media doesn't want to talk about the Muslim invasion, and they're not going to. And in the beginning, it was mostly Hispanics because it was down there during the border crises. If you go there now, you're going to see almost a 50-50 split.
Controversy.
Some lawmakers even claim Mexican cartels control a portion of the community.
Colony Ridge made headlines last year when Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton sued its developers, accusing them of targeting foreign-born and Hispanic consumers with limited or no access to credit, with promises of cheap land and financing without proof of income.
Investigation revealed that Colony Ridge operates as a one-stop shop for discriminatory lending.
Immigrations and Customs Enforcement officials are telling us today they arrested 118 people yesterday during a targeted operation in the Colony Ridge development in Liberty County. Residents shared videos with us of ICE agents and other law enforcement agencies in the neighborhood yesterday. ICE says the people they arrested had been either charged or convicted of a wide variety of violent crimes, including criminal sexual conduct, homicide, child sexual abuse, and other crimes of moral turpitude.
Recently on Texas Scorecard, they interviewed a sheriff out of Goliad, Roy Boyd, great guy. They asked him, they said, they were chasing this gal out of Mexico. She had murdered some people. And they chased her all the way into Colony Ridge and picked her up just recently.
Last week, we took down a lady who was wanted for intentional homicide out of Mexico. She killed her boyfriend in the front yard. She fled to Texas. She was apprehended while Biden was in office. And even though she had an Interpol warrant for intentional homicide, Biden administration ordered her to be cut loose and left in Texas. So we went back out last week and we found her with ICE up in Colony Ridge, and we took her into custody. And now she's gone back to Mexico to face charges.
And while the operation had the support of Governor Greg Abbott and the developer of Colony Ridge, it's left many people.
Did you hear that? He said, I'll back it up just a little bit. I want you to hear what she said.
And now she's gone back to Mexico to face charges.
And while the operation had the support of Governor Greg Abbott.
There you go.
Had the support of Governor Greg Abbott. So a lot of people want to say, oh, this had nothing to do with Greg Abbott.
What operation is she referring to?
Of the building of that site, the meadow of Colony Ridge.
He approved it.
He was definitely a part of it. Had here one more time. Listen to what she says.
To Mexico to face charges.
And while the operation had the support of Governor Greg Abbott and the developer of Colony Ridge, it's left many people there understandably fearful.
I would not be surprised when we put this information out. Watch it. Abbott is going to launch 100 deputies to go in there. That's why we call it Abbott City. Abbott City.
The most disturbing thing is our Republican governor took $1.5 million from the developer's brother in campaign contributions. We called him. We wrote to him, snail mail even, just in case they...
Who, Governor Abbott?
Governor Abbott. No response.
Well, that's the developer?
Yeah, that's his office right there. And of course, he's building all the nicer homes right here, close to 99. And then you see all the trash behind the nicer home.
Are these municipal utility districts where they can collect some taxes on the property as well for the utilities?
There were no utilities in this original area right here. There was no utility, and even a lot of the newer chunky ones don't have utility.
Right.
But he's trying to put a lot more in the southeast corner, and the newer stuff on the newest stuff on the north side definitely all has utilities. But that's elementary school.
So this building right here, is this it? Trey Harris?
Yeah, Trey Harris.
The office for Trey Harris, the developer. Green tin roof. We'll be flying over here in just a second.
It's a very, very small percentage of our customers.
What's his name?
May perhaps be.
Who is that guy that's talking?
Harris. They said the developer's name is something Harris.
Oh, yeah. Shoot. I think it was Dan. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's see if we can go back and see what he says. Trey Harris.
Trey Harris. Okay.
Yeah.
Trey Harris, the developer. Green tin roof. We'll be flying over here in just a second.
It's a very, very small percentage of our customers that may perhaps be undocumented and not their status here is questionable.
New undercover video shows Colony Ridge employees saying they don't check citizenship. Why am I not shocked? The salesperson stated that they're even open to selling bulk land to foreign buyers.
Sales office.
The sales representative is Sandy Moreno. She revealed that Chinese investors have expressed interest, and most buyers are from Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador.
Right here.
Who's that, Sarge? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
So we are now, this has expanded quite a bit since I've been here. This was not like
He's a
this
news
at all.
anchor from here in Texas somewhere.
All of it looked like this right here when we came out 2023. Now it looks like that. That's what it all looked like as far as you could see. This was pretty rough. It was just dirt.
And the development does not check for
See all those
immigration
homes?
status. And it's only
Yeah.
a $500 deposit to finance residential land. Unreal. Now it's estimated that about 55,000 people live there. Some even estimate it's about 100,000 people live there. Now it is a hotbed for illegal alien crime.
That right there, International Leadership School, is brand new this year.
They can't keep up with the
That's number 2. Number 3.
North side, south
That's
side,
right.
and now another one on the north side. A third one.
You said half for Hispanic. And
Yeah, the majority of them is Hispanic. There's a lot of this, I believe, if I remember correctly, this right here, that leadership school is a cover for a mosque.
Interesting. Okay. So, because I remember this during the Eagle Pass days, that a lot of people were ending up here.
Mm-hmm.
And
the majority of them were, yes.
Yeah. And so, okay, please continue.
Well, they're trying to move around. So remember, the majority, they just put up on the, I believe it was oh gosh, I want to say it's just a few minutes outside of the city center of Houston. There's the Islamia Center for something arts just went up in November of last year or December. They just put that bad boy up and opened the doors. And so there's a big Islamic community there, and a lot of them set up in this area recently, just in the last few months. This hasn't been a long-term thing. This has just been the last couple of months they've been setting up in here because there's a lot of open land, a lot of open area, room for development, and they're still developing it even today. And this was, I think he did this in October of last year. It was when this happened, October or November timeframe. They're still developing, and they've been moving into this area now from areas up at the Epic City and outside of Dallas. They're starting to branch out. So it wasn't always like that. They're just now starting to feed into this area.
Okay.
Talk about replacement migration. We're watching it happen right in front of us. So right over here, Sam, we got northwest corner. That's fresh dirt right there. They're cutting in further and further in. So either he's working more deals on the periphery or he bought all that. We don't know. We have to look at what the investigation shows. See, all this is kind of getting filled in. This was all trees 2 years ago. This is now expanded. We're at the far north edge of Colony Ridge development. This was all trees. This is all new. We're going to add. I guarantee you, they're going to fill it out to 200,000 if we don't do anything about this come 2027.
Now,
This is
Paxton
the Wild West when it comes.
didn't Paxton sue them
Yeah, so Paxson did put out a big lawsuit against them, and I don't know where it's going. I don't know where it's went. I don't know what's happening with it. I did see that news. I haven't followed it much.
Okay.
A lot of that started happening in I believe the last month or so, but that's when I started getting bogged down with some personal life things where I had to
Sure.
focus elsewhere. So I've been in the last 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks, I've been catching back up. That's what I was saying last night. I was like, what a week to come back to it, right?
Oh, dude, you jump back into the deep end for sure.
Yeah, right.
What's Doc think of Ken Paxton?
I haven't asked him that question. I tell you, I don't have the worst idea about him yet. But I'm watching for the dog and I'm watching to see if he's going to wag the dog. I don't know that he is 100% not for us, but it's weird because he gave his endorsement to Aaron Reitz, and I'm not sure how I feel about him. He is a Marine. He did serve during the same time frame I did, and he's been to Afghanistan. He was a former infantry guy. He's got combat deployments and stuff, so there's some of that I do like about him just naturally. But I've done as much research as I can over the last, which is very minimal, over the last, month or so. I've been somewhat plugged in, very little. But I do plan to dive on him as well. I don't see nothing terrible about him, and I've never been really too far off on Ken, but then again, I'll be straight up with you. I don't really ask him his opinions of people. I just focus on him more than anything. But he definitely is vocal about certain people. And whenever I do post, most of the time, like, oh, look, another Rhino, and he'll be like, yep, we got to get him fired too, and stuff like that. So he's definitely aware of who's who. But I haven't seen him directly state anything negative about Ken Paxton or anything about some of the other big heads that are potential, figures that we need to keep in line. So
Paxton, that's still ongoing, the lawsuit. That was filed in 2024, I believe. Yeah, filed in March of 2024, the Southern District of Texas. Deceptive trade practices, fraud in real estate transactions, violations of the Consumer Financial Protection Act, and the Interstate Land Sales Full Disclosure Act.
When did they have the hearing?
What's that?
When did they have the hearing? Because wasn't that just recently? I saw something about this floating across X feeds pretty heavy about a month ago, roughly in like mid-December, early January.
Okay.
This was being talked about. And I don't know if it was just a recap or a highlight on it. But I did read, that's where I was like, oh, wow, he actually did try to shut this down and stop it.
Yeah. And they're basically saying that they targeted foreign-born and Hispanic people, and through misleading sales and marketing and the whole bit, predatory lending. And also there's a federal case came in late December, just recently.
Okay, that's what I might have seen.
Yeah, and that they've reached an agreement in principle, and that's a deal with the DOJ to settle all claims with court filings, noting they needed additional time to finalize details. No full settlement terms or approval have been detailed in available reports as of early 2026. Now, I don't think Abbott's given back the $1.5 million he got from these brothers, the Harris brothers.
Yeah.
Trey and John Harris. Yeah.
Damn it, Bobby.
And Kevin Harris too. 3 brothers.
Oh, there's 3 of them. What Mo, Larry, and Curly. How about it?
Yeah, yeah.
These dudes is giving away our land to fucking illegals.
Well, their distant cousin, Kamabla, help them get all the people. She was like the timeshare salesperson at the border, to just let them all get in. All right, please continue. Edward was shouting me out, brother. Happy to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Edward. Yeah, we're just I just try to be as humble as I can be. We're getting into this. We only got about 4 minutes left. We don't have to play the entire thing, but it's just a very good. This is a very good overall of what is actually going on with this area, and most people have not even seen this video.
So law enforcement.
Just last week, 118 illegal aliens were arrested by the federal government. Now, the question I always get is, why is Colony Ridge still standing and operating? Well, why don't you ask the Republicans in charge of Texas, considering they were the ones that approved the development in the first place?
We got fugitives coming into here. This is out of control. Well, these are the things that we see in third world countries where they come in and build slums, and we saw what happened to South Africa. By my estimate, based upon what we thought the numbers were then, this is based on Michael Jan's investigator. He estimated at the time that it was 20 to 30,000 when we came through. Right now, we're well over 100,000. Well over. Yeah. Because we don't know how many they've got packed in there. Right. But if they've got to expand based upon those schools, we're well over 150.
When was this video?
Let me verify for you right quick, like December, yeah.
Of this year, of 25.
Well, this is when it was put out. If I remember, like I said, this was November when they went. It took them some time to put this whole thing together.
Okay.
But I want to say it was like mid-November, early November they did this.
Okay.
So one structure over here that actually is built like a house, more than likely, that one right there, that's cartel money. Look at that compound.
Yep.
You got a pool, you got a lot, essentially a gated compound.
Critics are now saying that this neighborhood has become a breeding ground for violent
Look at those
crime,
paper-mache
illegal drug
houses.
sales, and a place where Mexican cartel members are now moving to and setting up shop.
I believe that cartel members are living there. There have been 14 overdoses of Mexican fentanyl at Cleveland Independent School District.
Now, State Rep Steve Toth is launching a special bill in this special session, asking that the state of Texas take over control of Liberty County and eliminate this problem.
My bill calls for Liberty County and Colony Ridge to be put under a conservatorship, meaning the state of Texas will manage the affairs of this area, of this Colony Ridge, until it's cleaned up or cleaned out.
We were sitting there at the FBO, and there were 2 Learjets parked in there with Mexican flags on them. Oh, yeah. 2. So you won't be seeing any county appraisal districts in here. Nope. You won't see any fire inspectors.
Nope.
You won't see any inspection going on. Wiring. Nope. Yeah, no fire trucks, no EMS. On its own merits, without the illegal. This is a fire department's worst nightmare. This is a law enforcement's worst nightmare. This right here. If I'm going to put on my...
I was just going to say, one of the lending problems that they have is that you don't need any money to buy one of these homes.
Yes.
And they're the interest rates are really high.
Yeah, like 25%, 20%.
Yeah. So imagine buying a home at, we're trying to get it down to 4.3 right here, with the new once Jerome Too Late Powell's gone, and these people are up in the 20s. You can't get out from underneath that.
Nope.
So, yeah. Unless,
it's weird how they were able to get that.
You saw a lot of cocaine and fentanyl.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only way here. The only way you're going to make it. I think that's in the brochure, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually a requirement. When you move in, you must open shop.
Yeah. You have to have a side hustle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Military officer thinking cap, and look at the transfer migration with the connection to the CCP.
With like 5 years experience.
You got local kids that are growing up in a neighborhood where they can learn to speak Mandarin Chinese. They get weapons training. You're connected to cartels.
Wow.
You put all that together, and what you're looking at is setting the conditions for an invasion that's already taken place. Yeah. The troops are on the ground, and all we need is the go flag.
Hey, they got guest speakers like Vicente Fox.
Vicente Fox. This is a flood zone. I mean, you could not get approval to build on this if you were just wanting to do it without having to bring in some serious. That's just sand. They're building on sand.
Yep.
Colony Ridge implies and sometimes directly tells borrowers the lots have no history of flooding, but the areas are inundated during heavy rains, and that sometimes results in raw sewage overflowing.
This, to me, sets the conditions for what needs to be done in the governor's office to meet this, to put an end to it before it turns bad, because we've got to investigate every single person that's moved into this place and put them on the next buses out, the next planes out. We need to get tied into Tom Homan and his repatriation. Get these folks out of here, because this will turn into a huge, it already is a huge problem set. But if this goes kinetic, we've got a huge headache on our hands. And Houston is not that far away. You know, there's times in history when you've got to have what we call a wartime president.
Amen.
Right? You can't have a politician. You got to have presidents, nationwide. Right now, it's time for a wartime governor, because the war is not obvious in our face right now, but we cannot allow the conditions to be set for that to happen.
Wow.
And then he says right here, we have a third world-esque city with no law enforcement, no fire department, very few utilities, built on sand, set to replace the 18th largest city in Texas in terms of size. This community has been proven.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Could you say that again?
Oh yeah. We have a third world-esque city with no law enforcement, no fire department, very few utilities, built on sand, set to replace the 18th largest city in Texas in terms of size.
Set to replace the 18th largest city. Wow.
Google what that is while I read this, and when I'm done, I want you to say that out loud to everybody. You'll be astonished at what city that is. This community has been proven in the past to be filled with illegals and to run rampant with crime. All of this is on the outskirts of Houston. No one knows who's there, as it's alleged the developer doesn't check. Elected officials have turned to a blind eye to the whole thing. Maybe that's due to the large donations they received from folks associated with Colony Ridge. Or maybe it's due to some other factor in their goals. Who knows? One thing is for sure, state-level public servants have failed miserably on this, while others turn a blind eye. Doc is out there leading from the front. Doc Pete Chambers is the commander Texas needs to take charge and lead us out of this insanity.
Wow.
What's the 18th largest city in Texas?
Oh, in Texas or in the U.S.?
In Texas, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the U.S. I thought that's what I had to wrap my head around.
Well, what I really wanted to go over was property taxes, because I like how all this doesn't mean anything anymore, because I really like how this show actually went. And on Doc Pete Chambers' website, let me share that real fast, and then we'll move on to bigger and better things.
And by the way, what isn't even addressed, okay, is the child trafficking that has to absolutely be happening through that Colony Ridge.
But that's a whole separate deal, though.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's with it, but yeah.
Tom Holman just came out and reported that 145,000 missing migrant children have been located by the Trump administration.
Amen.
I mean, that's real. Here, I'll share this with you real quick here. This was, and then I want to go to the property taxes here, but just to touch on this.
Which absolutely cut down under the leadership of President Donald Trump. He first secured the border, which absolutely cut down on the flow and in the child trafficking economy. And so that was the first critical move. And their next critical step was to put new leadership at the Office of Refugee Resettlement, which is part of HHS, which is where the children were being trafficked from, the Office of Refugee Resettlement. So they put some great, intelligent folks there. John Fabricatori, who is a senior advisor, also acting director Salazar, And their collaboration now with ORR, so the Office of Refugee Resettlement, the FBI, and DHS, they've been able to go out, do a concerted effort, door knocking, finding these children. It's wonderful news. Under the leadership of President Donald Trump.
Yeah. You know, me and Sir Oliver we did a 2-day dive, and it's a total of almost 9 hours on the ORR. And I can't remember for the life of me the name her last name is Dunn. I can't remember what her whole name is. But this idiot was in charge of the ORR from 21 to 23 or 20 to 23, I forget, for 3 years. And but most of her hearing was focused on 2022. And she goes so far as to admit that they were allowing, because it's broken down into 4 categories. You have category 1, which is the immediate mother, father. And then you have category 2, which is a family member outside of the mother or father. So it's most likely your grandma, or your uncle or aunt. And then it was another category, which was, so you had 1, then you had 2A, 2B. And then 2B was any previous family member that had never had custody, but was all of those. But the 2A was, okay, so sorry, let me back up. Number 1 was immediate, which was mom or dad, brother, sister. 2A was someone who had prior custody in the past, or some form of custody of the children that was a mother, or a grandfather, a grandmother, uncle, an aunt, or brother and sister. And then 2B was the same category with 0 prior custody of the child. Then there was category 3, which was some sort of orphanage, the actual federal subsidies, and then 4 was other, what's the word that they use for that? Sponsor. Category 4 was other sponsor.
Wow.
What is an other sponsor?
Yeah.
There was nothing else in there. It just said other sponsor.
And they got rid of the DNA testing at the border.
Yes, exactly. And on top of that, $30 fucking billion, Dave, was given into this pool, and not a single bit of it went to the kids. Not a single bit of it went to the homes. Not a single bit of it went to the refugee camps. Not a single bit of it went to none of it. Absolutely none of it. $30 billion.
Wow. By the way, the 18th largest city in Texas is Brownsville, but Killeen is 20 in this particular one. So that's where you're at, right?
Yep.
And that's just under 200,000 people.
Yep. So imagine if you go and look at so and how many people are in Brownsville? They said right around 200,000.
About 194,000. Yeah. Frisco's about 200,000. Yeah, man. And Irving, by the way, where this exists, is number 13 at 240,000.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean this is crazy.
And that was primarily cartel, and the majority of these illegals are being pushed out, right? First and foremost, they're going after mostly the cartel and the Hispanics. So who's going to move in behind them? The Muslim Brotherhood. That's why we're starting to see them trek in there. It's small numbers, but it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to bring up this slide?
Oh yeah, bring that up real quick. Absolutely.
Okay.
So on Doc's page, he specifically has, I'll go back one screen real quick. He has issues on everything. Most candidates don't even have this. He has issues on everything. And I'm kind of
nice.
I'm kind of over the taxes at this point, because we're on to something that's a little bit more important. Something that we can actually full stop right at the beginning. Taxes is going to take at least a year. He has in here, it talks about it, right? Stop the bleed, treat the wounds, stabilize for long-term care. And treat the wounds. Reform fragmented authorities by integrating Titles 10, 32, and 50 for seamless federal-state collaboration, including intelligence sharing, counterintelligence against cartel networks, established special missions units, SMUs, modeled on the elite forces to disrupt hybrid threats, while passing state legislation to shield local enforcers from litigation and mandate 287G participation for data access. This is what's going to help us get rid of these people. That little clause right there. right? And then how do we stabilize it, right? Because that's important. How do we keep it going? Well, you build sustainable whole of society defenses through the Homeland Defense Compacts. This is where Doc talks about reinforcing the state guard, not the National Guard, the state guard. It's a thing. Very few people are in it, but he wants to boost it, and he wants to raise its capabilities. And part of doing that is by doing leveraging Article 4, Section 7 of the Texas Constitution, which calls for Texas forces to repel invasions if needed. So he has plans. He has how to do all of this. And Abbott doesn't talk about any of this at all, ever, not even a little bit. But he says, oh, we're going to stop them. And I wrote a proclamation, and I wrote this, and I said we're not going to do that, and I banned CARE. Brother, do you know how many factions are in Texas right now? I did this a long time ago. I don't know what the answer is off the top of my head, but there's over 20 of them. But watch this. How many factions? How many Islamic Muslim factions are within the state of Texas, equal to or as as integrated as CARE. I can't spell right now. I don't care. He'll figure it out. The numbers, the amount of factions that are here are absolutely insane. So you have CARE, then you have the Texas Muslim Coalition, you have the Islamic Services Foundation, Texas Muslim Women's Foundation, the Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research, Islam in Spanish, okay? Houston. Other Islamic organizations, they include many. You have Texas Muslim, where is it at? Oh, wait, it didn't give me all of these. Last time I did this, it pulled up with 20. There was over 20 of them. I did it in a post. I'll have to go find the post and I'll send it to you later.
Wow.
But dude, there's so many factions. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I guess we could touch a little bit on the property taxes. I'll be real quick with it. So one of the things I wanted to bring up, this is all going to be Greg Abbott. This is this fancy little stupid 5-point plan that he has, right? And I'll read it off because this is exactly how he thinks, with no other verbiage, no other language, no other words, no other citations. This is how he says he's going to get rid of property taxes. We're going to require common sense local spending limits. What does that look like? What's common sense for Greg Abbott?
It sounds like the Democrats' affordability talking point.
Exactly. Here it comes. Ready? Require 2/3 voter approval for tax increases. Why are we requiring anything for a tax increase? And 66% is mostly, and this is for anybody who's listening. I know not all boomers are liberal, then I know most of you aren't, but the majority of his base is boomers. The majority of Greg Abbott's base, for most of his votes that he's received over the last 2 terms, have been from the boomers.
Okay.
Require 2/3 voter approval tax for increases. Why are we worried about an increase? How about decrease?
We're number 7. We're the 7th highest in the country.
Yes. And we got clauses like this in our coming from the governor.
Empower and by the way, the first 6, I mean, New Jersey, Illinois, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, like liberal bastions, right?
Where's California at on that? What number is California? This is
that's a good question.
It's not even in the top 7, was it?
No.
Exactly. So that's all you need to know right there. We are worse than California.
Yeah.
That's absolute shame.
That's all you get. 32nd. But here's the problem. The average home price in California is up here.
It's like 500 to 700.
So even though the percentage is lower, it is still higher.
That number is going to be way higher for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll dive into the numbers too. So we have empower voters to roll back taxes, except we've been asking for tax relief and to roll them back for the last, 11 years, Greg Abbott, and we haven't been able to do it. In fact, we've had literal increases every single year since you've been in power, with maybe the smallest minute increase of being probably around, what was it? a 0.5% for 1 year or 1% for 1 year. Create appraisal predictability cap appraisal growth. This is very important. Okay. Number 4, this is a joke to me, for one, because number 4 is quite literally the reason why we're in this mess to begin with. Okay. The appraisal districts, and he talks about this in his property tax deal on Doc's website, which I'll go to that while I speak about this real quick, because that's kind of important. The county appraisal districts have gone rogue here in Texas completely. How are they doing that? Right here it says the state has enabled local municipalities and to arbitrarily assign, okay, local municipalities to arbitrarily assign property values through local CAD, the central appraisal districts, right? Boards with vague rules and incentivize large year-over-year increases. My house, when I bought it, let me go back to my other little deal here. My house, when I bought it, I'll be honest, I bought it at the height, right? I sold a house. Well, I made a lot of money on that house, and I was at a really sweet interest rate of 2.25. I should have stayed where I was at. And I sold to make some money, put well over 6 figures in my pocket, and to fix my credit and do all kinds of things, and you know, with my family. And I bought this house for $50,000 over what its value was at the time, and almost $75,000 over its initial sell price. I believe it sold for $220,000 on its first sell, and I bought it for $310,000. So I bought it for $90,000 over its original sell price. They tried to tell me this is, then they're using this, they're going in cahoots with the insurance companies for rebuild values, right? What does it cost to rebuild the home if something was to happen to it? Because remember, Texas is in a national disaster crisis still, for whatever reason, with over 87 counties, 87% of the state is in a national disaster crisis still, which is why they're rolling all these taxes out and increasing them the way that they are, because it's all based off of the cost of the home to rebuild by the insurance company. The insurance company, any insurance company I've ever checked with, tells me that my house would cost anywhere between $440,000 to $480,000 to rebuild. So the Texas Appraisal District here in Texas, for this county, in Bell County, had it listed at $487,000 property value when I first moved in. I said, excuse me, hold on, let's pump the brakes real fucking hard. I walked in with my appraisal. I told them that this is a scam, blah, 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 everything the nines, right? They lower it back down to what I had the house appraised at, was at 301. The reason why I bought it at
by the way, you can negotiate those in the state of Texas, but
absolutely.
Why should we even have to?
That's the key thing, because Greg Abbott allowed for all of the CADs to do whatever they wanted and didn't put a stop to them.
What?
The CADs, the county appraisal districts, the central appraisal districts. I've heard it county, I've heard it central.
Okay.
Either way, it's central. Central is even as bad as county. So number 4 says create appraisal predictability. So now he's saying that they're unpredictable. Well, I wonder why. Why are they unpredictable? Well, because you let them be unpredictable, because you didn't put a cap and a stop on this years ago, whenever all this shit was happening during COVID and the insurance agencies went rogue, and you put the entire state, 87% of the state, in a national disaster. For what? What national disaster? It's been in there since that, was it Hurricane Helena came through here recently? And we've still been under that same cap. For what reason? So he can sit there and play games with the property taxes. Number 5, eliminate school property taxes for homeowners. Look, that is by far the dumbest move you can do. The only taxes you should leave are for the schools. You should eliminate all the other taxes and subsidize the rest. Subsidize the fire department, subsidize the police precincts, subsidize all those other things. Leave the school tax alone, because the children need the money for the schools. If anything, you leave the school taxes alone. The last thing you touch is the school tax. And then this is what I like about Doc. So Doc literally said this. This is what we're going to do with the school taxes. If you have no children and they're not going to school, you don't pay school property tax, period.
Thank you.
If you have a school, if you have children and they are in school, you pay a property tax. It makes sense.
Or what if they're in private school and you're busting your hump to cover the private tuition?
Exactly.
And you still have to pay the taxes.
Exactly. That's one of them too.
The public school that you wouldn't allow your child to get near.
Exactly.
And that indoctrination.
And exactly. That is exactly what he's saying. A public school. He's not talking about private schools. If you go to private school, you're not paying public school tax. So he has the common sense. This right here is a 5-point phony plan for a mock-up of a campaign disaster.
It's a narrative. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
It's just rhetoric.
And then he goes around parading this plan, and he gets everybody to sign these stupid fucking billboards that mean absolutely nothing. Who cares if you go to somewhere and you sign it and you sign this thing? This right here means nothing. Oh, look, I signed it. This means that I will do that. No, bro, that means absolutely nothing.
Right.
If I can take that to my county appraisal district and say, look, these all apply, I need to lower my taxes, they'll be like, based off of what causes and what precedences and why? Well, because we need to require common sense local spending limits. Okay, what spending are we talking about? Well, see, it means nothing. It's empty promises. He has campaigned on this his entire time he's been in Texas. SB1 came out. SB1 was nothing. And I have a breakdown on that. I'll pull it up real quick because I did all this research before. And
by the way, Lisa asks a great question.
Yeah.
Why is the federal government funding schools? Why is the state government funding schools as well? I want to add, where's the lottery
question? Exactly. Where is all this lottery money going? I mean, I've seen these these deals go for almost $1 billion at some points. I think the Texas lottery at one point while I was here was like it was like 9999 or 1.01 billion. I'm like, where's all the 40% that gets taken right off the top? Where's that going? Oh, I'll tell you where it's going. It's going into the pockets of all of these lobbyists and donors, kickbacks from the politicians who are under their puppet strings, right? SB1 was an absolute land grab, dude. And all it did was raise, and he's done it with multiple other ones. Where's it at? I'll do my little checkies. All right, here we go. So SB1 was the first one that he dropped. And SB1 quite literally, where is it at? I did the breakdowns for it. SB1 came out in 2015, right?
Are you able to make that any bigger?
Oh, yeah. Here, let me do this. Uh-oh. What? Whoa. Let me go back to the top. How's that? Ooh, is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry about that. All right. So SB1 was the first property tax relief bill that he ran on and pushed out in 2015 with the 84th legislation. And what this did was it allowed for him to raise it from 0 to 25,000 on an exemption, right? Well, that was great, but it was only a one-time reduction and it did not limit the future increases. And more importantly, all it really did, the math isn't in here, but I've done it before. The math quite literally allowed, and this didn't count for anybody under or over the age, or excuse me, this only counted for people under the age of 20 of retirement age. They only got a reduction of between $180 and $200 for the year. And he's like, oh, well, it saved us $63 billion. Sure. If you took every single taxpayer and saved each of them $200, I'm sure that the number equates, if all the people in Texas probably equates somewhere around $60 billion. You can go with that. Not to mention you get a little bit more tax cuts for those from the retirees because theirs was much higher. It was like a $50,000 or $100,000 tax cut on their homestead. So yeah, sure, you can say that the numbers were great, but the average per person for anybody under the age of a retiree was $200. Then he drops SB2 in 2019, right? This is where he said, we're going to do tax reform and transparency act. What did this do? It brought the overall back to 3.5% year over year. Do you know what the state Texas Constitution states that it will not exceed per year on taxes? It's 3.5%. So all you did was take it back to where it was, which thank you, appreciate that, but you could have done better, right? And then he later, which is true, he later brings the school districts, he brings that down to 2.5%. So you're pulling more money away from the children. That should have stayed. I'm all about the taxes going for the kids. I'm all about that. If they're being taught the correct things and the schools are being updated correctly and there's not indoctrination, which that's a whole nother conversation, but we're not going to go there right now. What happened is it slowed the rate growth, right? But it did not, and this was important, it did not stop the value-driven tax increase. Value-driven, right? What happened to all the homes during COVID? They skyrocketed. So sure, you have 3.5%, but if your house grew $100,000, $200,000 at 3.5%, it's still a lot of money, especially for a house like this one. I'll use my last house as an example, the second house that I bought. It was built for a little under 370. I think it was 368 or something like that. I bought it for 410. I sold it for 560. Made a good bit of money on it. Right.
Nice.
No, I wish I would have kept it. It was on an acre. It was a massive house, 3-car garage, 3,000 square feet, 5-bedroom, 3.5. It was a beautiful home. I should have kept it. And I was paying $400 less than I'm paying for this house at 2.25. Put that in perspective. Massive mistake. But that tax right there was increased. The taxes went up because the value of the house went up. If he was smart, he would have capped the amount of taxes at a given set point of the home. If the house grew more than 20% in value, cap it at 20% year over year on value and 3.5% on the taxes. That's how you lower and mitigate the actual increase of taxes and not running people out of their homes. Right. SB4 came out a couple years ago. This raised the school homestead exemption from $40,000 to $100,000, taking more money away from the schools. Right? Big upfront cut for homeowners, but still rise on the remaining value. So it didn't cap the housing's rising. The biggest rising in cost of housing happened in 2023. The massive increase happened right at 2023. And then right at the end of 2020, or right in the middle of 2023, everything started crashing back down. HB 9, right? House Bill 9 help small businesses, does not affect residential properties at all. SB 23, senior and disabled relief. This is where he starts taking care of his base. See this? What they don't show you here is the numbers. It's like, I think it goes from $100,000 to $150,000 on the exemption, right? It protects the fixed income owners from rapid increases. Fixed income, Social Security, stuff like that, right? Retirement, those are fixed incomes. So he took care of his base. He had to, or he was going to lose them, right? And what's funny is when I was out campaigning for Doc, I met a lot of these people. They're like, oh, well, he took care of me. Fantastic. But you know what he did for people my age? He screwed us over.
So he could take care of you because there was no deletion of money in the system.
Amen. Right there. I mean, not amen, but you're absolutely on it, right? Absolutely.
It's the ones that pay for Obamacare.
Yes. Oh, we're on the same page. I love it.
Yeah.
2025 session bills, right? These are the things that are coming out. Still reduces individual bills, but the total statewide property tax collection still rise because values grow faster than the exemptions, which is true, right? And this is all the same research I did about 6-7 months ago when I fell into all this with Doc, and nothing has changed. So when you go back and you look at stuff like this and you read these stupid ass 5-point, required common sense local spending limits, what are you talking about? We need 2/3 of voters to approve for a tax increase. Why are we trying to increase the taxes? See, none of this makes any sense. When I read these things, it makes me very, very, very confused. And then you're like, oh, well, I got Bumgarner from Houston District 63, and I got, Leach for Texas. I got these people to sign on. Those signatures don't mean anything. They mean absolutely nothing. Now look at this. Oh, wait, wrong one. Where's it at? Those are the actual House bills that I was reading off. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. There's many different graphs, but I'll use this one first. This is another one too. This one goes all the way back. But look at this. Since 2018, which is when I moved here.
Can you blow that up a little bit?
Yeah, let me get that a little bigger.
Great.
Is that better? All right. Yeah. So we have the special districts, counties, cities, school districts, total tax levy, right? From 18, and these numbers change on every different graph, but they're roughly around the same $1 million line. They're within $1 to $2 million on all the graphs that I've seen. This one is the most accurate. Look at these percentage increases every single year. Does that look like 3.5% to you, Dave?
No,
it doesn't. If the overall was 3.5%, it would have been stuck at 3.5%. That 3.5% SB2 came in 2019. Where's the 3.5%? There's 10%. Another graph, and this other graph over here, it shows, let's scroll down a little bit. It shows 2022, 2019, 2022, 10.8% right there at the bottom. This one's a little harder because the numbers are smaller. But you have at the bottom right here, you have in 2022, you have $81 billion in tax levies against Texas, 10% increase from the year prior. This is all the year prior. So tell me how any of these are supposed to work. Magically in 2023, all of a sudden we have lower taxes. So it took you for this long to listen to what Trump was telling you to do. It took you 1, 2, 3 years to get on board with Trump for there to be a 0 increase. Now, I can't find many numbers on 2025, and I think that's what, where did it go? I think that's what this one was. Where's it at? I can't find it. There was one this one right here. This one only talks about the quarter. This is for 2026. I still can't find anything for 2025. Here's FY26, right? So far, levied is $176 million, which on par for 4 months, if you do the math on that, this should be below $1 billion if this stands. But we'll see how it works out. We'll see what happens. I don't know how factual this one is, but this is from Comptroller, which is where most of the stuff you want to get for taxes for Texas is going to come from Comptroller. That's where all their factual stuff is. This is a month by month of what's happening so far this fiscal year. I don't know why these are much lower than previous years, but if this is true, this will be very good for us in the future. Where we go at here. Yeah, so just look at that, man. That's insane. And here's another thing too. Let's look at the spreads. In the 2 year, because it wants to talk right here about in 2022, 2024, that's a 2-year spread, right? Well, roughly 3, if you will, count 22, 23, and 24. We're talking about 3 years. There's a $6 billion increase. That's 7%, right? Just look at, where is it at? 2018 to 2020, you have 7. That's more than that. Then you look at 2020 to 22, that's $10 billion, right? We had, in this next 3 year, we only had 6. But the current numbers for 2025 overall have been approximated anywhere between 100 to 120 billion dollars.
Wow.
And those numbers don't even show here. 120 billion dollars, Dave. They are literally robbing us blind. And maybe it was in this one that I just had up. Let me see if I had that at the top correctly. No, that one is.
And the first American Revolution began with a 3% increase on tea.
Yes. Oh, here we go. No, that's
we
not
we long for that price of tea and taxation.
Oh, here we go. $125.5 billion for the summary of all of 2024 into 2025.
Wow.
And this is what we're dealing with when this guy wants to talk about taxes.
So here we are talking about the increases in taxation for those who own their homes. You know, and imagine buying a car and you you buy it outright and you drive it for 5 years, but every year you have to pay tax on the value of the car, whether it increases or decreases, right?
Well, it increased 7.5% from last year already.
The tax burden
on just vehicles. Look right here: motor vehicle sales, rentals, and taxes. 7.5%.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's not getting any easier to live, and it's because of people like this. What?
Yeah. See that?
Is that dude that kind of tried to replace Charlie Kirk? That young kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why are you throwing up that signal, brother?
Well, here in
They're
Texas. Here in Texas, it's hook 'em horns.
Yeah, I don't like that reference though.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, people have, you know, we obviously during this awakening, everybody kind of awakened to symbolism, right? Because symbolism will be their downfall, right? And so sometimes people will be, have something behind them that's a weird satanic symbol or pedo symbol or whatever. And I'm like, listen, that stuff exists, but you have to look at the behavior of the person too. You have to look, what are they doing? What are they doing with their lives? I remember I wasn't in my studio and I did at a home and and there was some kind of painting behind me, and it was kind of in a circular kind of a Fibonacci sequence. Is like, oh, is that a pedo symbol? And I'm like, listen, you dumb shits, you gotta you gotta be discerning. You gotta look at the symbol, track the person. What are they doing? What are they all about? And I can't remember what the symbol was, but it was just like, I shut it down right away. It's like, you've got to look deeper. You've got to look at, and so, they're putting that up, but it goes across the internet. No one's been to Texas. No one knows what the hell Hook 'em Horns is. But there are some people that are fans of Texas football and Texas basketball that do the Hook 'em Horns that are probably satanic pedos too. So yeah, you're getting so
likely. I had some videos I wanted to play of some stuff that I was digging in on. They're not that important, but I got
I want to keep this fairly brief so that people can share it out and people can get a really good dose. And folks, if you're sharing this out, and certainly if you have, know anybody in Texas that could really benefit from this show, or anybody that owns their house, and we're talking about taxation, and you can, challenge your own governor, challenge your own representatives on the taxation issue. Please send it out, share it with them, and tell them they can go past the first 20 minutes into the show when President Trump was on Air Force One, and just start there when Sarge comes on, and a lot of people could get benefit of this from being in Texas. And you could look into Doc Chambers and see the difference between what he's saying needs to happen versus the stage show of Abbott, how long has Abbott been talking about, property taxes?
Since his first run in 2015, brother.
Yeah. He's been here 11 years.
11
His first
years.
run in 2015. What did he say he was going to do with property taxes?
He's done nothing.
And what did he say he was going to do?
He's going to give us relief and lower them. And now he's talking about abolishing them. But let's just look at this, right? Here's 2015 when he comes in. I see an upward trend here. I don't see a downward trend. I see an upward trend. And the red is school. And he keeps taking away from school more and more and more and more and more and more. And then they wonder why we're 41st and 40th in education in the state. Like, come on, brother.
Yeah.
Get real.
Yeah. Not cool. So bottom line is, like I said, when Hot Wheels were popular, Abbott was, probably, doing okay.
He memed himself and he's like, I figured out what my Halloween costume is going to be. And there's a photo of him AI messed up as Professor X. I'm like, brother, you're doing it to yourself. Stop. Oh, Lord, have mercy.
And it's insanity. And again, we're talking about what is supposed to be the freest, state in the union. We're supposed to be Texas. Don't mess with Texas.
And on top of that, we just lost the most red county in all of the country, Tarrant County.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead, because that's important.
Yeah.
That's very important.
This is what happened just yesterday.
Yeah.
And there was a special vote, and one of the guys that won was let me see here.
Mind you, this is a county that's been red since 98 or 99.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is crazy.
It's the Hart voting system. John O'Shea went big on it, and he was on Sam Shumate's podcast. He was one of his first on his podcast, and John O'Shea gets up there and literally says this new voting system is going to be the death of Texas. And he was screaming about Tarrant County. And what just happened? We lost it to them.
Yeah. Now this is one of them. Let's see, is this the right one? This is this dude, Taylor Remmet.
That's him.
Okay.
Remmet.
Rhymes with regret.
Yeah, right.
And this is one of the lowest IQ Jasmine Crockett members of Congress with him. Like, if I had a picture with Jasmine Crockett,
oh my god,
I would try to get it scrubbed from the internet.
Did you see her opening Senate run video?
No.
Oh my god, that is worth every bit of the 30 seconds that it is. It's literally all the audio of Trump saying how low IQ she is.
Oh wow.
It's so bad. It's so bad. That was her Senate run video. I'm running for Senate. It's every bit of every second that Trump says she's low IQ. In every form he says it. It is the worst. This is what to me, you know, I forgot who I was on. I was on what Truth or Media on Real Laugh Patriots show, and we were like, well, what do we get from this? And we're all like, central casting. Because there's no way you're that dumb to have your opening Senate video you put on the interwebs of quite literally. You have to scroll down. It's pretty old. It's probably about a month old or so. And
let me show this one real quick.
To see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected. He said, we need to return the power of the purse to Congress. It never left. According to the Constitution, that's where it's at. Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that
Terrence Williams.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's got all those laundry clips on his hands. Oh my god!
Right.
Yeah, if you scroll down, you'll see it because she's the background is completely black and she's facing to the side to start off. So she's got like a left profile, and you'll know when you see it. But oh my gosh, it's by far the funniest thing I've ever seen. That's not it. Keep going. That's it right there. That's it right there. Oh my gosh. All right, everybody, you're in for a treat. This is 44 seconds of absolute hysteria.
How about this new one they have? The new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Wow.
That was the video she posted the day she announced that she was running for Senate. I said, are you got to be kidding me right now? Does that not scream central casting to you? I mean, that's capitulated. That's controlled. That's nobody in their left mind.
Yeah, no kidding.
Claim to have TDS, but you use him as a, like, what are you trying to prove? That you're not, or that you really are? Because you lose in every scenario with that video. I don't get it.
I don't either.
Oh man, completely beyond me when I saw that. I laughed so hard I could not stop. That was an all-day event for me. I played it probably 10 or 15 times.
Unbelievable.
Oh.
So this Texas race, we're losing. It's going blue, like you were saying. Like we are.
Well, we're purple, and we've been purple for a while.
Yeah.
We're purple for a while, and it frustrates me when people are like, "Oh, we're red. This is Texas." I'm like, brother, you are blind. You are so blind. I tell people that all the time. Like, oh, that's disrespectful. I've been here. I've been voting for yeah, but you're not paying attention to who you're voting for. I vote Republican all the time. Are you sure he's not a rhino?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the other thing that Doc talks about a lot, which is one thing that we're I mean, we're not worried about it, but the thing that bothers us is the fact that the primaries aren't closed. So every stupid Democrat can go out there and vote for Greg Abbott if he wants to.
Right. Right. Many states, you have to be registered as a Republican to vote in the Republican primary. You have to be registered in a Democrat to vote in the Democrat primary, not in Texas.
Nope.
Right.
It's kind of scary.
Just a quick shout out to all of you who are sharing this show. Deborah Ann and 30 others reposted your post. Thank you, Dina. I see Heather there. Thank you all for reposting this. Jingle Patriot always shares out and tags influencers that could benefit from this show. So thank you, Jingle Patriot. So I just wanted to thank you all for that are sharing this out because I think this is. I'm so glad you mentioned this. Like, hey, let's do this because we kind of just scratched the surface last night with Sir Oliver, and we were like, yeah, we gotta do something for Texas. So I'm so glad we did it tonight. Was there anything else you wanted to share before we got out of here?
No, they all require more time and attention and longer and many other holes and avenues we can go to. I wasn't even really trying to focus on the Islamification and what's happening in those cities, but it's a much bigger issue that's more readily, dealt with and easily dealt with than the property taxes. Although the property taxes will be very easily dealt with within a year. I've actually sat down and talked with him about things that we can do. And one of the things that I think, and I know he's going to, is we're going to pull all the subsidies for green energy. It's going to go away. I mean, we've given over 28 billion just in the last 10 years, 12 years just to that. I think the average is like 2.8 a year, or 2.4 a year we're giving away to green energy in billions of dollars that we can put back into the housing community and into, we can move money from almost anywhere. There's shit that's being subsidized that doesn't need to be subsidized. We're it's just like all those bills that were going out. We were learning about, shrimp on a treadmill, $100 million here. Like, why? Why are we doing that? So there's a lot of stuff. His big thing is that the plunder on the people is over day one,
Beautiful. Has Doc talked about the election? Does he think that he actually is going to get a fair election in Texas?
No, we actually, well, it's kind of a back and forth conversation because we're still waiting. Like I said, Dallas County is the only county that's gone fully paper ballot, which is surprising because it's a blue city. But that's also city? Dallas County. So the actual county of Dallas. So Dallas County. Okay. I'm expecting, I don't know, we're literally 30 days away or 29 days away. I'm expecting more counties to go that way. But this is going to be up to the direction of Greg Abbott. If I was Greg Abbott, I'd be signing executive orders that, the entire state and every county in the state of Texas is going to go to a handwritten ballot with a hand counted process. But he's not using his executive orders and his power to the likings of which he can. And he's not going to, because, if he does that, he's not going to win. He knows he's not going to win. And he's not going to close the primaries, and nobody's going to go side by side with him and try to close primaries because he knows he's not going to win. Because he's relying on that Democratic vote because nobody wants to vote for any of the Democrats that are in. Because right now everybody's happy for what Abbott has done because he's been campaigning in the last year and a half. And he's been like I said, he's been placating to his boomers, and a lot of the boomers that came here, they were really hardcore leftists, and they've kind of become independents, if you will. They still have their left morals and their Democratic morals, but they vote for Abbott because he's been giving them their way of life just as they've had it their entire time. And these are people that don't have anybody in their family in their will. They're sitting on blowing all their money, going on vacation, traveling the world, traveling the country, money that could be helping create general wealth for their families. They're not even using it for that. But yet Abbott's giving him the cut. and screwing people like myself, or not necessarily me. I don't pay property taxes. I'm 100% permanently totally disabled through the VA, so I don't pay property taxes. And
That's awesome.
Well, he
I
actually.
mean, let me rephrase that.
No, it is awesome. It's
everything was great about the interview until Dave said, "Hey, it's awesome that you're disabled." that just trashed all.
No, it's all good. No worries there. I didn't take that
No,
one
I'm
bit
just
negative.
saying that, like, I am warmed by the fact that we have programs out there that aren't socialism. They're actually supporting people that need that support.
Yeah.
Because
there's
that's
many of them.
That's a civil society right there.
Yes, there are many of them that actually favor veterans, especially those that are 100% disabled. There's vocational schools that are free. There's all your hunting licenses are free. You don't pay property taxes on your vehicles or on your licensing, registration, all that stuff. It's like $5 for me to register my vehicle. It's not much at all. It's next to nothing. And the state has done a very good job, but the problem is that it used to be 70 or 80 to 100% got the same treatments. Abbott did away with that and only made it to 100% gets the treatments. So he excluded 80 and 90% awardees from having limits, having no property taxes. And it used to be tier bracketed. It used to be 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90% had different tier brackets.
Well, he's got to take care of his boomers, dude.
There you go. How do you give the money away? You got to take it away from other people, right? It's been a narrative wash his entire time.
So this everyone's talking. By the way, do you talk about your disability at all?
Yeah, I can. I don't have a problem talking about those. So I have a 70% rating for PTSD. That's just 70% on that one. But the total percentage is like almost 280%. But they max you out at a specific rate, and they divide and multiply all of it together, right? So like the cumulative is like 270 or 80, but it comes out to like 115 or 120. So I'll cross the 100% threshold. But I herniated. I broke my back. I severely herniated with sciatic nerve damage, my L5S1, my L4, and then I have a bulging disc in my I think it's M10, or not 10, but the thoracic. Sorry, so the thoracic 10, T10 or whatever. Yeah. And then I have a bulging disc in C6. I have a torn rotor cuff in my right shoulder. I have no prepatella in my left knee. I have part of my ACL in my right knee. I have plantar fasciitis in my right foot. I've been shot in my left foot. Just all kinds of. But the shooting was later down the road. That wasn't part of service connected. But
well, I'm going to put this out there. I'd rather pay for my car registration. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get on that plan that you're on.
Yeah, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm always hurting. But
well, that also, by the way, I left California for the free state of Texas, right? And you can't do cannabis here. And it's like, are you kidding me?
I mean,
like,
you can.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially around Austin, but it's like it is so like beneficial and healing, and they allow the stuff that isn't the best stuff. It's not the pure stuff.
Yeah, that CBD shit is trash.
Yeah, it's adulterated, and so. But at any rate, I mean, does Doc have a view on that at all?
Yeah, he's hardcore Christian, and his big thing is he doesn't want Texas to turn out like Denver, and so I can respect that.
Well, that's been a problem, but that's why medical is so important.
I would say on the medicinal side, I'm not sure where he stands with that, but I know for recreation and full letting it out, absolutely not going to happen. Do I think he'll roll with it with therapeutics? I think that might be an option.
And by the way, Christians need to take the stick out of their ass when it comes to cannabis. To be honest, like that's just my take, and we can disagree on that. But it's like there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things coming from the Christian right that are absolutely detrimental to our country. We don't want Denver. That I agree with that without question. But it can be done in a way that's not Denver. And we have to what President Trump did, taking it off the recategorizing it. Now we're going to research it. Now all the, we
Yes.
can do real research with cannabis, and
Right.
and its benefits. We didn't even know until the 90s
Yep.
that we have cannabinoid receptors in our
Mhm.
brains.
Yep.
And
I'll be
so
honest, I've been a long-term user for a very long time. I grew up smoking it, and it's quite literally what kept me out of the legal system and kept me, because I grew up with ADHD, and I had a very abusive mother and no father, right? So I was perfect for the Marine Corps, right? And then when I got
Right.
out of the Marine Corps, I was broken, and I'm here in Texas, and I'll be honest, yes, I did medicate for quite a while, and I've only recently, in the last couple of about 4 months now, 3 months now, I've been kind of clean of it. Not because I think anything less of it. I'm preparing myself to become a potential government official. So, I'm trying to make sure that if I go in and do all the background checks, do the fingerprints, do all the drug testing, that I'm good to go. But should all that fail, I would definitely revisit it in a different manner. But yes, it can. And that's the other thing too, is that I believe it needs to be on a medical spectrum and not just stuff that's floating around in the streets, because the stuff in the streets can very well be tampered with. It could be, laced with things. It could be, CBD with whatever added to it, fentanyl, whatever the case. There's all kinds of unknowns on the street pharmacist side, but definitely through an actual medical evaluated pharmacy and doctors absolutely giving their 100% to give us something that is pure, something that is safe,
Yeah.
something that is regulated through our doctors, right? I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if no matter what, no matter who's in power, no matter what state, no matter what the color, red, blue, purple, that we're going to see a massive breakout. And that was one of my favorite things in the end of this year, was whenever he raised it from a category 1 to a category 3 and allowed for it to become medicinal on a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
Because that allows us oils, that allows us lotions, that
Yep.
allows us, edibles on low spectrums, and the key thing here is not to become a dope head, but to be able to micromanage your pains and your issues. And because when I got out, I'll just be straight up. When I got out, I tried to kill myself a multitude of times because I couldn't
Really?
I couldn't get my shit together. I lost all of my sense of pride, lost my brotherhood. I didn't fit anywhere, no sense of purpose, right? And I started having these kids, and unfortunately, it was kind of a. I wish everybody keeps telling me I need to start a podcast. I don't know if I will, but
Well, this is you on X. Are you anywhere else other than X?
Yeah, but I don't play around with the other ones. I just kind of have them to have them. I have a TikTok, Sergeant Petree, is SGT Petree. I have a Instagram SGT Petree, and I have a Truth Social, which is the same as my X. But I don't play around with any of them really. They're just kind of for fun, editing, making videos. I don't watch Trump. I don't do much. Most of my engagement's going to be here on X. But I definitely fought that battle for a very long time. And I think because I had the availability to have cannabinoids, it definitely helped me in the long spectrum of things through my pain. Because I tell you what, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was out the gate 80%, and they had me on 13 pills twice a day. And that was mood stabilizers, pain pills, gabapentin, Cymbalta. I was on Cymbalta for 6 years, all kinds of just bullshit. And last year in July, when I bent the knee to Christ and I gave it all up, and I decided to give everything to the Bible and to start reading it and to use it for my therapy, I let go of all those pharmaceuticals. And it was by far the best thing I ever did in my entire life. Plus I stopped drinking. It was the greatest move I ever made.
That's beautiful, brother. That is really, really fantastic. There are a lot of ways to get there. Any way you do is a good thing, to kind of wake up to the things that are unnatural, the things that are kind of forced upon us, and that's why I get there's a lot of people that are what they call California sober. They've given up drugs, they've given up pharmaceuticals, they've given up alcohol, but they use cannabis for the healing benefits, for the anti-inflammatory benefits, for this, and that's why I come down so hard on the Christian right 501c3s. The same people that are telling us that we got to keep cannabis out of our life have no clue about the history of it, and we've got to support Israel at all costs.
Yeah, negative.
I'm sorry. Like, okay, all right. So I know that you got to keep your 501c3 intact. So you gotta pay the piper. You got to do what you're told.
Right. You got to beg for that money at the end of each service.
Yeah, exactly. and and Q tells us, beware those we trust, or no, those we trust the most, right? It's like we're so many of these pastors, so many of these, and it's getting in the way of our connection with our Creator, and that there should be no man between that. And we don't want to get down this path, but it's just like it's these systems that are holding us back.
Yeah.
And you look at Muslims and you look at the problems there, and we covered some of that. You look at Judaism and the problems there, and how these ancient, archaic, religions that were created to divide us are holding us back as humanity. And every single one of them puts a man in front of you.
Yep.
Go worship them. Go listen to them. Go listen to them speak. And so, but at any rate, we kind of got off on a tangent.
No, you're good. And I know very well where you sit with that.
We're closing the show. What do you think about
No, and I totally respect where your views are in that, and I've gone through your whole deal, and I know where you sit with that, and that's totally fine with me, and I don't have a problem with that at all, not at all, not a little bit, because I'm not here to judge nobody, right? That's not my job. That's God's job.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He is a jealous God, and He is the one to judge.
Yeah,
right.
And my judgment is against judgment.
Yep.
Against human judgment.
Yeah, I understand you totally.
You do you, it's like, that's freedom. Like you do you, just don't harm anybody. Don't, who you want to worship. I don't have a problem with people that worship, something that I don't necessarily agree with, but it's like, you do you, but don't lock into the thing that doesn't allow me to do me.
Right.
And that's the problem, and that's why they've used these to divide us. So, my friend, thank you for joining me tonight. What a treat! What a joy! I know my audience loved it. A lot of great comments. Thank you, everybody, for good stuff. And
God bless you. I appreciate it, Alan.
Oh, Lisa, I'm sorry. I just saw this. I use this one. These are nicotine pouches. Have you ever done this?
No, I have not.
So
I pulled away from all that completely. I used to smoke too. I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes in the height of Afghanistan, but I quit cold turkey in 2012.
Wow, good for you, bro. So I do these because this kills nicotine kills the spike protein, and they're trying to put spike protein in the air and our food and everything. So I just do it and I enjoy it. So I recommend this because I've tried a lot of different ones. Maybe I ought to see if I can, get an affiliate or something with these guys, because it's so good and it's so soft. And so at any rate, it's, thank you for asking, Lisa. It's, but I don't get anything from that. I buy it down at the corner store.
Maybe I should get into some Zen packets or some Zimmos or something like that. Cause I tell you, I've been wondering if, these people are still shedding.
Exactly. That's why I do it, bro. And by the way, my friend has given me some of these. I just don't like them as much. They're harsh.
I'll take them.
Like, yeah,
come get them from you.
Yeah, you're close enough, dude. I got a neighbor who is jabbed, an older guy, and he I give him to him because I turned him on to him.
Oh, good.
Because he needs it for that. And but you'll definitely have some here when you come see me. We'll definitely have, some guys are like, yeah, dude, we got to smoke out together. You and I are like, yeah, we got to nicotine out.
We got to
together.
zen out, boy. One of my favorite, before we go, one of my favorite scenes of RFK was when he was sitting there during one of his press hearings, and my man literally pulls a zen out and goes, "Yeep."
Yeah, exactly.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
It was. And he's doing amazing stuff, man. I was just talking about him yesterday with somebody, and about how as soon as Trump brought him on board, it was like I knew he was going to be able to accomplish more than he ever has, because it has been one man up against the system. And now you got Trump, you got Q, you've got the administration backing you, and he is crushing it.
He is the system now.
All right, my friend, have a great Sunday. And thanks for spending time with us on this Sunday night. We'll do it again.
Absolutely.
Please shout out to Doc Chambers for the work he's doing. And folks, if you're catching this, Doc Pete Chambers, is it docpetechambers.com?
.org.
Doc,
yes.
DOC, Pete Chambers.org, docpetechambers.org, and you can see what he wants to do for Texas. And I appreciate one of his foot soldiers, 2 feet soldiers out there in the world, Sarge Petree, out there doing some great work and getting the word out about him and the stuff he's doing and the problems that Abbott's causing the great state of Texas. Thank you, my friend. Thanks, everybody. Much love to you all. Be well. We'll spin the wheel tomorrow night. There was no addition to the spin of the wheel tonight, unfortunately, but we'll make it happen. And I appreciate you all stepping up. And if you do want to support the work I do here, you may do so. And at Zelle, Dave Sned at Gmail. That's a bank to bank. And then, of course, Give, Send, Go, the head Sned. And or you could go to Snedheads on donation and to Donation Nation and lend your support there. It's much appreciated. Special shout out to dear friend and great supporter, Helen Overton, down under in Australia, and her support and her continued just love for the show and support for this show. And that keeps it free for everybody, because there's a lot of people out there that can't, and I don't want those who are on, struggling, that. So that's why I've given away 1,600 shows. I don't know where I'm at right now, but anyway, thank you, my friend, and much love to you, and
absolutely,
and peace, and we'll talk very soon.
Absolutely. God bless you, Dave. See you soon.
Thanks, bro. Good night, everybody.